Hello, world. This is Chris Aballo's podcast experiment, and I am Chris Aballo. Welcome to the Filmmaking Special, the final special in this series of 2024, which now bleeds into 2025. These kind of one-off specials we've been doing while the weekly show has been on hiatus, so to speak. So, the short film, our short film, The Out, is now available on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to the show, go to the description. Yeah.
Pause the video.
You probably won't be interested in an extensive discussion about this if you have not seen the film. Because I don't get it.
Should probably do that.
Should
probably do that.
You can come back to this.
Totally.
Link in the description, even if you're listening to it on a podcast.
Shit about them now. They're off watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like they're
totally,
watching. Yeah,
totally,
I'll totally cut around this.
Put the little flag up there.
Yeah, the little ones at the pop up on the screen where you can add the link. It's like, click in this box right here and watch The Out.
In 11 minutes, I'll be like, "Oh, you're back. What's up?"
Exactly. Switch over. Is there a picture-in-picture with you? Oh, that's a whole.
That'd be fun.
Nobody would ever leave the house again if there's picture-in-picture YouTube. Forget it.
Oh man,
that's
coming. That's coming.
Yeah, humanity be fucked.
That's coming.
It is coming.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
Let's not give them.
Exactly.
There'd be no reason to.
It'd be that Back to the Future 2 scene with like
Yeah.
Marty Jr. looking at the screen where he's got like 6 channels all playing at once. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a
I already
reality.
have that. It's called multiple tabs on Google Chrome.
Set it
Oh
up.
my God, you're right.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's a grid of entertainment.
Yeah.
And this is why we're losing our collective attention span. Anyway, so if you're listening to this on a podcast app as well, the link is in the description down below. You can check it out. Along with other stuff on the channel, there's outtakes. I did an audio commentary for it, so make sure you're clicking on the one that doesn't say with director commentary. So, yeah, we are going to talk about the arc of this short film, which I've been asked a lot of questions at various stages of production throughout this, as far as actually making the film, going to festivals with it, and all of that. And what better way than to sit with my fellow artists who contributed to the short film to talk about our experience with it? Because if you're thinking about it with what's so funny? You're like, artist? No way.
What did he call me?
He's cracking up already. It's like, moi. It's like, what an artiste way to put it.
You know, it is weird, right? Because I had a similar reaction. I was like, "Oh yeah, I did, kind of," but then like, wait, I'm just gonna let it
I just did a
pass.
thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever.
This is thing.
Well, that's it. I hesitate to use that myself, but I'm like, well, to just call everybody out by their respective role would be kind of weird.
You know what?
But we will. I haven't introduced anybody, by the way. So
Yeah.
people who are like,
He'll get
what's
to
this filmmaking podcast that's going on?
Yeah.
This one-off thing. Let me introduce the players. As you know, first of all, I'm Chris Aballo. You probably should have known that because you should be subscribed to CAPEPOD on YouTube and following the show on the socials at CAPEPOD. But anyway, joining me for this panel is 3 of my 4 fellow co-creators. Christian Cortez,
What's up?
who was co-producer with me and also was the sound recordist for The Out, and along with many roles behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
So he is here with us. My co-star, scene partner, U-Goboy,
Oh yeah.
also known as Ugo.
Yes. All that good stuff.
And your last name, I'm not going to...
Onyianta.
There you go.
Gotcha.
I was going to say it, but I'm like, I don't know. People do a number on Aballo, and it's 6 letters.
I like how you even knew. You were just like,
I'm like, I'm not going to stumble
gonna.
over his name. Like,
No.
why do that? Why do that?
I
Again,
love the lack of comments.
Yeah. It's the story.
I
of
can
my
do this
life.
really
It's the
wrong, or I
story
can
of my
pass the
life.
ball. And you know what? Yeah,
Well, you know
I'm
what?
not too
There's
proud.
not many people who would actually like openly admit that they have to pass the ball.
Listen.
So that's why you get the points.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of host. I get the assist. I'm not the kind of host who's like, I'm the smartest person in the room. I rarely feel that way. So I'm like, I'm just going to defer to the guy who's been pronouncing it his whole life. And also,
And then he says it wrong.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
that'd be hilarious if you did, just to trip me up. Because then every time I introduce you, I'm pronouncing it wrong, and just be like, boy, Aballo.
I'll go full Nigerian accent if you want me to. I can't, but you can.
Please do. Go ahead. We'll get to him in a second. What's your full?
The full.
Cape is back, everybody.
Ugo Chukwu Jonah Jr. Onyianta. Nice. Actually, that's not even all the Ugo Chukwu Jonah Jr. Obu Eme Onyianta. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Or just
not gonna attempt that.
Ugo.
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 There you go.
Yeah,
We're going.
A lot easier, right?
that one.
That one.
We're gonna go with the 3 letters.
Or,
or-
you
or-
getting
Yeah.
my man.
My guy. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, dog?
Ugo has the same amount of letters as DAP. We're just gonna go with that.
Exactly.
And the composer of the score for the Out, making his Cape debut, by the way, part of the freshman class of technically 2024. He is the 2024 freshman class. Okay, there's only been 2
You love to
freshmen
see
this
it.
year.
You love to see it.
Alas, Daryian Kelton, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Class of 2.
That's right. One of only 2 to make debut
Nice.
on the show in 2024.
Nice.
So we're going to go through this chronologically. We're going to try to stay focused, which is going to be a new direction for the show. So, yeah. Fingers crossed. We'll see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, assuming you've watched it now and you're like, well, how did all this come about?
Hey, what's up?
You must have. Otherwise, this is going to be a really long hour and change for you. 2 hours. Anyway.
You left a
So-
like on the last video, though, right? Okay, good.
Yeah, you did.
All right,
You
just
better
double-
have liked
just,
and
just
commented
double
about
checking. Just double
how
checking.
great it is, how much you love the music
It's weird
and
to
the
break
sound.
the
and-
fourth wall with YouTube. It's very strange.
well,
I'm
you
so
know what?
used to it with traditional media.
But that's also one of the things that bothers me about.
It's already meta.
Yeah, like literally, it says it on it.
our friend Sally, aka the Mind Minx, has said to me multiple times, like the reason she wants me back on her show because we had a very funny night out together I want to say it was a couple weeks ago, it was probably months ago, but she's like, but you're not fair because you talk to the camera. I'm like, because the audience is watching. You and I were there. We know what happened. Like, why am I going to tell it to you like it's brand new to you? You have to engage the audience. Like, most podcasts are just there broing around and they're just
Right.
like, I know, right? It's like, that's not fun. Like, they're watching. They're engaged.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Well, we don't have a live audience. Like, at least in like the late night shows, they can engage with an audience because
Yeah.
they can
Or
play
let
to somebody.
him read the screenplay.
Exactly.
Start on page
Yeah, it starts there on page
God.
1.
Oh my God.
Nobody breaks the fourth wall. like the Muppets.
We talked about that. We 100% talked about that on a Black Friday episode.
I'm sorry.
All right, go for it.
Good
Go-
stuff.
Go for it, Christopher.
So, how did all this come about? Well, there is a semi-autobiographical, based on a true story. That's what The Out is. So, back in June 2022, 2.5 years ago, leading up to June, I should say, after the end of my previous long-term relationship, I decided to step back and say, okay, what don't I like about myself? I was in the, to use an overused expression, I was working on myself, which is what everybody says when they take that break. Where it's just like, I'm going to work on myself.
See,
work on
I
myself.
could have accepted it until you did the whole voice thing. Then I was like, I'm checking.
But everybody says it in the same. Nobody's like, I'm working on myself. Like it's always kind of like airy fairy. Like I'm working on myself.
Yeah, but like when
You know,
do
which-
this thing, I'm
look,
working on myself. Like, what do you sound? You sound like fucking Bill Burr when you do it.
Yeah, I'm working on myself. The fuck does that mean? Working on yourself. So that's not. I've never done a Bill Burr. I've never done a Bill Burr impression.
That's not bad.
And
It's
that
not bad.
Was
Not
it?
bad.
Okay, I thought it was kind of hokey. But there we go.
Not bad. Not bad.
But everybody says that because at the until the right opportunity comes along, like if Sanaa Lathan rolled up on me, I would have been the perfect man. I would have been like, I got it all together.
Love you, Sinai.
Exactly. And women do the same thing. They're working on themselves until the right guy comes along. But anyway, I had, as the self-proclaimed angry therapist John Kim calls it, I was single on purpose because I said I'm not going to get involved with anybody until I figure out the things I kind of want to fix about myself, things that have been recurring in relationships, like understanding my role and saying, I'm going to wait to kind of put myself back out there. Let me get some stuff together. And there was a woman who I knew socially. We'd seen each other out at some events, and we'd kind of kept in touch through social media. We kept saying, we need to get a drink and continue the conversation in person, blah, blah, blah. Just to be social, like no expectation or anything like that. It's like one of these days we got to meet up because I'm in North Jersey. She lives in New York City. So I'm like, yeah, we kept saying we got to meet up, and it just kind of never happened. So beginning of June 2022, I'm in the city. I posted something about it in my Instagram story. A couple hours later, I get the DM from her. Hey, you're in the city? And I said, yeah. And she said, do you want to grab a drink later? And I was like, sure. Why not? So we met up. She was at work. So we met up afterwards and sat down and talked regular, career stuff, the kind of typical stuff. You know, like, so what have you been up to? It'd been
like the small.
It'd been a couple of months since we'd seen each other in person, and again, it was socially. So this was the first time it was like sitting down, like the two of us, and actually kind of getting to talk about stuff. And going through all of that, initial conversation, the small talk, kind of like, you know, so what you been up to? What are you working on?
Like it's clicking. Like you're like, oh, okay.
It was, but just in the way I kind of expected it. I was like, okay, this is kind of the way I expected you, like the two of us would get along when we got together and actually just got to sit and talk, kind of one-on-one. And then we met in one bar, and it kind of started getting crowded. Like there's a sports bar next door, and whatever sports ball game was on ended, so people are kind of bleeding over into the
sports.
Yeah, they were spilling over into the bar we were in, so we left.
It's okay.
And it was also late too. Like I'd been out in the city, and I hadn't grabbed anything for dinner, so I was like, "You mind? Let's go over to this other spot." It was like they have a really good spicy pork quesadilla. So I was like, I'm craving that right now. So I know, right? So I was like, let's go over to this place. And also, it's kind of more chilled out environment. It's more like a lounge in the bar. So I was like, let's head over to this place. So we headed over there. And now the conversation's getting a little bit deeper. Because look at you, like nodding, like is it the quesadilla?
Me and him, we're both just like that sounds so
That
good
pork
right
quesadilla, I could taste it.
You know, we never had a rap party. Maybe we actually need to take a business trip to the city.
That works.
And get this done.
I mean, you know what? With it being up on YouTube,
I wouldn't be against
it. We could have a celebrate. Yeah, we could celebrate.
I want some pork quesadillas.
I'm down.
I would
Dude,
not.
it's
I would
I'm telling
not
you,
be
this
against
thing.
it. I would not be against it.
This thing is pretty sweet.
Brightside Tavern?
What?
Brightside Tavern, maybe?
No, I'm talking about literally this place we went to that has this pork quesadilla that I was talking about.
Okay.
This place
I
pork
was just
quesadilla.
like,
No,
hey,
this
good
bar.
eats in general.
It's in.
Hey, look.
It's in K-Town. Excuse me, K-Town.
Okay.
In the city. So we should go.
Okay.
I'm down.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so anyway, her and I, we head over to this bar, and it's quieter, and also, we were seated at the bar in the first place, so we're kind of side by side on stools. At this place, we're sitting at a table, so now we're across from each other, and it'd been maybe like an hour and a half or something. We talked the other place, and, you know, gone through all the typical small talk and kind of catching up stuff, and at a point, the conversation got deeper, and we're similar age, so we were talking about different things we've foregone in terms of, you know, normal life stuff like settling down, starting a family, all that stuff for the sake of our careers, the stuff we've kind of focused on.
Was she in the arts
that
too?
way. Yeah, she works in a creative industry. So all the more reason we kind of connected on that level. And we knew we had that in common. Mm-hmm. And also because she followed me, she was aware of the show too, which was interesting because it's not one of the first things I bring up at all. I've gotten 2-3 dates in and like the podcast does not come up because I don't bring it up. Because I'm like, well, you don't want that impression of me if we're actually getting to know each other, because it's a heightened version. I mean, it's me, but the volume's turned up a lot. It's me and my friends, and the dynamics. Is it though? It kind of is. I was supposed to one-on-one with the lady. Don't tell me you wouldn't be different. I know you.
that's fair.
You'd be a teddy bear talking to a woman. It's like so.
Don't ever try to impersonate me like that again. That was fucking weird.
I know.
That was kind of cringe.
Listen,
that was kind of cringe.
Because I know this voice is a character for you. You put this voice on just for the show. Yeah, it goes an octave down when you're with a lady. I know it. It's like that. Yeah, you turn into like one of the Boys to Men, I'm sure, when you're one of them.
Boys to Men is
listen,
crazy.
Baby, listen, let's
Like,
talk.
here we've come to the end of the road.
Let's talk
That's
a
what we're
little bit
doing.
about.
Like,
Yeah, you know that spoken
like-
word at the beginning. It's like, so listen, baby, you and I.
Oh my God.
I know that's what you
said
do when you're
got
out with
the
women.
ASMR voice.
Exactly.
He does. He knows he does. He's not going to admit it. I've never seen him on a date, and I know that's exactly how it goes.
That's funny.
But we're relating about like some life stuff. Again, it's similar age, so our parents are older and retired, so kind of talking about that, and you know, watching, you know, them get old and caring, you know, and participating in, you know, helping
Real stuff.
keep our parents. Yeah, so we're getting kind of deeper into like real life stuff and getting deeper into like the ways we view life and our values and all that. Like it's getting deep, like deeper than the aforementioned 2-3 dates in. Like it's the stuff you wouldn't get into even if you were on a first date, just because you probably wouldn't. Normally don't go that deep. First dates are very superficial, but we went into this with no expectation. We were just meeting up to have a drink and kind of continue talking in person. But it went to this depth where there was a lot of overlap, and there was definitely a connection going on that neither one of us expected. And that's not me projecting. She genuinely said she was taken by surprise. Like the whole feel of it was oddly comfortable for both of us, just to get into some, you know, some serious stuff. And
You guys clicked in a way that was like
it was completely unique.
super comfortable.
Yeah.
It was.
And organic.
Yeah, it
And
was.
to to some people that's dope and awesome, but like the reason we stay kind of quiet about things like that too is because sometimes that initial rush of like, whoa, is sometimes just a little bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like,
Oh, yeah.
especially when like the boys know, like, oh yeah, you're going on a date. How was it? Like, what was all like? How was the bullshit? And you don't mention that like you got like into heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Because you realize I really clicked with this person.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you just keep it that like baseline superficial thing, and you kind of keep it to yourself. And I, like it's rare, but it's dope when that happens.
It is. Well, and even now I can say completely objectively, like that, it was a unique connect. Like still hasn't happened. I mean, hadn't happened prior, but like still hasn't. Actually, you got to turn yourself up just a little bit.
There's the sequel to the Out.
Maybe out harder, further out.
No, the end.
The end. We talked about the
Maybe.
end. The end is the
We
spinoff.
did. We did. We actually
That's the
talked about
spinoff.
that.
The end.
So, we called it.
He's already thinking of score.
I got it.
He's like, oh, this is gonna be really up tempo.
Just live score the sequel.
Kind of is.
I'm ready. I told him. I told him once.
You better not copyright strike that.
Yeah.
I'll be very upset.
I told.
This whole episode's going down.
An entirely percussion-based score, I think, would be fucking dope. But
Again.
So I'm on board.
When you greenlight the end, just know that I'm in. It's a yes.
I know you are.
It was a yes then. It's a yes now.
It still
it's
is.
a yes. It's
And you're
a
on the hook
standing
for
yes.
everything I'm doing from now on. I mean, you've kind of said like you're in no matter what. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just need
I'm here
to.
for it.
I just need to make sure that when we do, and we'll get further into why I'm going to do this, is that I will be looking into making sure what buildings are testing their fire alarms within a 6 block.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to the
that.
production.
I love the foreshadowing.
Yeah, let's
Foreshadow
a
for
little
sure.
bit. We're tickling your asses with a feather right now because we're gonna get to that.
That's a teaser. Right
The
there.
actual production. Yeah, Christian's got a little PTSD, but we're getting a little ahead
Hilarious.
of the story.
So
Continue.
we
you guys click.
after it was 3-4 hours. I don't know what we called it at night, like 2 a.m. The bar was closing, so we had to leave. So it was probably 2 a.m. I think. So it'd been hours. We were talking and we got into some stuff and called it a night on not an ominous note, but just kind of realizing, well, this is unique. I mean, nothing happened. We called it a
was just
night,
like, what-
but it was just this. There's something going on here that we didn't expect. So that's why, thankfully we wisely just called it a night and just continued talking and everything, and didn't see each other till the end of June. Kept in. I don't know if it's necessarily daily contact. We're both busy, so we didn't see each other all month.
But then at what point did she give you that message?
Yeah.
Well, it was the second time we got together for drinks. So we met up at Chez Josephine, which is in the theater district, 42nd Street in New York, which is why, if you notice in the special thanks at the end, Josephine Baker and Jean-Claude Baker, her husband, and the keeper of her legacy, while he was alive anyway, who also built that bar/lounge in tribute to her, because it's kind of a museum to Josephine Baker as well. That's why they got thanks, because we were there that night, and it was part of kind of what set the tone. I don't know if I explained that before.
You
That's,
never did.
I
No,
didn't.
no,
Okay,
you never
you're like,
mentioned-
why
you
is he
never
thinking?
mentioned
That's a random
Yeah, you never
call out.
mentioned that.
Why is he thinking Josephine Baker?
But no, I mean, hey, listen, I'll thank people who are gone in my credits and stuff like that. Like it's not unusual. It was just like, okay, it's one of those things you don't question and when you get the special thanks.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it
just
contributed. It contributed to the night.
Yeah.
In some ways, the fact that we were there had a lot to do with it. But anyway, so we get together, and it's still it's basically a continuation of the vibe we kind of left off on, and we talked on the phone and texted a couple of times in between. So we knew there was something going on, and actually in my head, I thought, you know what? If this goes as well as I expect it to, then at the end of the night, I'm just gonna ask her out. Like, hey, next time let's go on a date, like an actual date. Like, why not? No pressure, but there's something going on. However, it didn't get to that point because we had another great night talking for several hours, expanding into more things. Now, before I get to the out part, which is literally at the end of the night, we had talked about backing up a little bit to April of 2022. We were doing the first episode of Cape for 2022. It was you and I, Mike Zapsik, and Ming Chen. We were at a shared universe Red Bank. And at that point, the Smodcastle Film Festival, the first one, had been announced. And the three of you had asked me, oh, are you going to do something for it? And I said, I don't know, because the deadline's in 3 months, and I don't know if I could write something and put something together. And blah, blah, blah.
Yes, you can.
Well, but at the time, I wasn't thinking in terms, and that's it. In the moment, I was like, no. But it's just as well, because obviously we know how the story went. It's literally why we're sitting here right now. But it kind of stuck with me that the three of you asked me, like, are you doing something? And when I said, nah, I was thinking about it, like, why not? And I was like, I don't think I could pull something off in 3 months. Anyway, as we're going through talking about our ambitions and whatnot, this subject comes up. And I mentioned about the film. I don't remember how we got into it, but I mentioned about the film festival. At this point, it's late June, so it's a couple of weeks until the deadline ends. I think like 3 weeks or something like that. And I had mentioned, she's like, see, that's the stuff. She's like, I can see you in like that, you know, in a category with like Kevin Smith or something like that. Because obviously she knew from the podcast and the clips and my sense of humor and everything. She said, oh, I could totally see you in there. And I mentioned, well, it's funny because he's doing a film festival now. And, you know, she knows everybody, the participants from the show. So I was like, well, they asked me back, you know, if I was going to do something. I told them no. And she's like, well, when's the deadline? And I said, it's in about 3 weeks. And she said to me, so you're telling me that in 3 weeks with your talents and your crew of people, you couldn't put something together and then submit it in time for the deadline? Wow, she saw right through me. Like, she had me dead to rights. And I'm like, haha.
She called
Okay,
you like out.
she called me the fuck out. And I was like,
I like her.
yeah, I was like, I don't know what.
I like it.
I had no defense. I was like, you got me. I totally could. And
That's
maybe
the
I
mark
should.
Of a good, like, I know that this was the hopes of the relationship, but that's also the mark of a good friend, is when they could call you out to a T, and they know you well enough to know that, like, oh, that hit me right in.
Even at that stage, see that brought it the depth to another level, because I'm like, oh, you see right through me. Okay, got it. Like, you see, oh, you should be doing this. Why aren't you? Because it got into a larger conversation because, like, well, you want to make film. Like, why haven't you? Oh, that's how it came up. Actually, she was saying, well, you know, you want to work in film and all, like, the podcast is great. You could definitely turn that into something. But, like, why haven't you done more things in film? I'm like, nobody wants a 40-year-old PA. Like, who wants that on their set? Kind of joking about it and passing it off.
I had you as PA on Just Desserts.
I know you did, but
awesome.
Of course. But I am awesome. But people don't know that. Now they do, because there's a short film they just watched.
They're learning.
But anyway, yes, that's how we got into the conversation. And that's when I brought up, well, it's funny that you bring this up, because a couple friends called me out for it. And then she called me out for it on another level and saying, can't you do this in 3 weeks? So the seed was planted in my head to write something. But anyway, at the end of the night, she now some of the things in the film are true. Because things were winding down, they were going to be closing the play. I think they closed at maybe 1 a.m. or something. So again, it was another like 3 hours of sitting talking. Sat at the bar, but still more facing each other than like kind of looking over your shoulder at the person sitting next to you. Like, more like this than like how I'm looking at Ugo. That was, when we first met up, it was kind of like that, kind of casual that way.
Actually, yeah.
But we were more sitting at the bar, but face to face this whole night. But yeah, before we leave, she gets up, goes to the restroom, and the check was just sitting there. And I said, let me just take care of the check. Like, no, anything about it. It hadn't been discussed. It was obviously they're closing up, so they were closing us out, so it was sitting there. I was like, oh, I'm just going to take care of the check. And then she comes back, sits down at the bar, pulls out her purse and pulls out a card. And I said, no, it's taken care of. And she was genuinely shocked that I'd taken care of the bill. And like it says in the film, she said that's very unusual. And I thought, it is?
That still baffles me, a part of that script.
Dude,
like, I remember reading that, and I was like, that's not commonplace?
No, it's not. She genuinely was, like, her mouth was open when I said it was taken care of. She turned to me and just kind of went like...
The things I have found out lately that are not commonplace in, like, in dating
culture right now, it's a weird time, dude.
Kind of astonishing.
It's a really, really weird time.
Yeah, we're in the upside down. If this was
without a doubt,
if this was Stranger Things,
dude, good for you.
And I'm very jealous.
I don't think I would survive.
You did
in the 2020s.
It's not fun.
And you're like, dude, you're a champion, and there's your ring. Okay,
that's your Super Bowl.
You did it right. You
smart.
It's weird, dude.
I took advantage of that real quick.
Yeah,
it's weird out there, and you chose wisely, and that's not pandering because she's in the room. Darren's wife is sitting over here.
I wouldn't say
off
anything back
camera,
because she's in the room, but
politely laughing at my bullshit. But genuinely, like, he chose very, very well.
Yeah,
and it's a good thing because it sucks out there. But anyway, we'll get more into that. But
Hot garbage.
I was shocked by it, and obviously she was shocked that it was just a genuine, like, no expectation. Like, we didn't talk about who took care of the check or what we were going to do or anything. And then she says, okay, before, like, she literally then turns to face me again and says like, okay, so before this goes any further, and she was vulnerable in the script and in the film. It's that she works a lot, hasn't found kind of that work-life balance, so doesn't want to get involved in anything serious. That is a fictionalized version of what she said because I'd never put somebody else's business out there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
for
cool.
sure, for sure.
There's a much more personal version that we're just going to...
For sure. And she was vulnerable, and she was honest about why. And she said, so I'm giving you the out. And I was like, what?
You know what I love about this, too? Is that not only she's giving you this relationship out, she's literally giving you the premise of this fucking story.
But nobody knew in the moment.
That's the irony of it, you know, and I think that's what makes it that much better when you think about it in the long run. Is that you guys?
It's awesome about reflection.
Yeah,
but it's literally it's not just the genesis of this thing that could have been. It is literally the genesis of a whole other journey that this then takes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is so cool because that's very rare.
Oh yeah, because an hour or two before, the seed was planted of, well, can I write something and produce something in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Was my thought. So the fact that then this literally lands in my lap, and I'm like, well, there we go.
Could I not?
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's
right,
it.
Right.
But even though I didn't know it in the moment, but the conversation continues, because again, the place is closing, so the conversation continues up as it says in the film. It's like we're walking up the street talking about it, and in the moment, it was actually very funny because I called it out, even though in the movie I say I don't. In real life, I called it out. It's like, you do realize we're in a rom-com right now, right? Because we're walking the streets. We're walking 42nd Street talking about like dating stuff. And she actually said, "Oh shit, are we when Harry Met Sally?" and I had to laugh. So in the moment, there was an acknowledgement of like, "Can you believe we're doing this right now?" Like we're able to kind of scope out and just
I
be
love
like,
that even when you tell that part, I hear Ugo.
Yeah, I was.
that was me. That's actually something I said. You realize we're in a rom-com right
I
now?
still
the
quote.
way that you say it,
I still quote.
like,
You do
oh
know.
my God.
You do realize we're in a rom-com, right?
Right? Yeah.
So you and this woman are walking the streets of New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go.
Yeah. Walking the streets of Manhattan, talking about relationships.
That's right.
The whole shit. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that's, and we'll get to the performance aspect of
course.
things
Yeah.
and stuff later on, but like,
Yeah.
I think that's also indicative of like you genuinely did great. Like you're both in it.
Yeah.
But you really stand out to me as like the
Yeah.
performer where I was just like, I knew you had talent, so I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know you. This
Yeah,
was like, the first time
that
we worked
was
together.
exactly.
And I was hearing
Yeah.
this and I'm like, oh my God, like it's iconic in its delivery and I'm witnessing it.
And it's one of the reasons I was when
Yeah.
the first time I read it, I was just like, I've had this conversation with so many people. I've Dr. Phil'd and still actively Dr. Phil'ing for so many
friends.
So many of my friends and
dating
family.
predicaments, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's like,
I'm gonna send this to some friends and be like, yo, didn't this happen to you?
yeah, I was like,
Didn't this happen to you?
oh, you just broke up with someone? Yeah, watch this.
Yeah.
That's literally what happened when you sent me the first cut of this. I had to watch it with the engineer.
Really?
Yeah, because
wait, so did you watch it solo and then watch it with him to say, dude, check this out?
Yeah, I watched it first and I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
This shit's too real.
Because also it was like, I had just gotten done like dealing with a thing at that time and like now that I'm doing this and coming back around, I'm just like, man, this is all seeming so very common again. Why does it seem so? Because I did that thing.
Yeah,
yes,
you need to watch this film.
You need to,
this.
No,
this will save you.
100%. 100%.
And that's something I didn't expect. I mean, we'll get to that when it comes to the response to it, which was unexpected. Because again, this comes from a personal story. It's semi autobiographical, based on a true story. So all the more reason I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But anyway, we continued the conversation in the parking garage, and she. As it happens as I described it, it was, as the character Edgar describes it, it was her kind of us both acknowledging like, okay, there's something unique going on here, but she's kind of saying proceed with caution. But I'm thinking, yeah, but this is also really unique, so like I need to see how this plays out. And as you know, in the monologue part, it's I have to know. And in the moment, I'm like, I have to know what's going on here. Like if this thing crashes and burns, like so be it. But I can't just, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate the self-awareness, but I can't just be like, all right, good night, enjoy your walk home. I still wanted to, yeah, exactly. But
there's no easy way to piece out of that situation.
No,
that's it. And we did. But she did give me the out a second time. And there was no definitive anything necessarily, that night. It was it's not that it was left open-ended, but she did have an early morning the next day. So I had to take her home.
It didn't end like a movie or our movie.
It didn't. It was...
No.
It, like life, it just ended.
Yeah, it wasn't a period. It was an ellipse.
Yeah.
Literally, it was a dot, dot, dot,
exactly.
and it's just
But
like,
it
so,
was.
yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
okay,
That was really
to
well
be
worded.
continued. Yeah. He's a smart guy.
That's what I do.
He's a talented guy. But it was kind of left like, okay, we're going to, TBC, to be continued. Like, we're going to continue this conversation because we're not like we're at a stalemate or something where it's like, you say no, I say yes. Like, what? But also, I was kind of taken by surprise because I'm thinking, all right, this is going really well. And I thought, like, when she comes back from the ladies' room and, we were leaving, just be like, listen, why don't we next time, let's go on an actual date. So in my head, that's where I was. So for her to kind of cut me off and say, like, listen, before this goes any further, I was just taken by surprise by it. And all the more reason I kind of couldn't, as much as I was taken aback, I kind of couldn't recover from that. And at the same time, like, okay, there's more to be discussed here, but we need to call it a night because you have, stuff going on. I get it. We'll continue. I figured, well, we'll see each other, hopefully get together like next week, the week after. She genuinely was going to be like busy with work and out of town. So I was like, okay, we'll get together soon. I wish I'd understood this when I was younger. Like, I felt like even when it came to writing music and all that, I had to make things out of whole cloth. And I'm like, well, you don't need to make everything like brand new. So the interesting thing was, as she's talking to me about this show, we're at the bar. There's another couple to my left, and then there's another guy on the end, literally the last seat of the bar, kind of in the corner. He overhears her talk about the Broadway show, and he says, excuse me, are you talking about, and he mentions the show. And she was like, yes, I just came from it. And then they're talking a little bit. He's like, sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt your conversation, blah, blah, blah. And it was in that moment when, and that's where the part in the script comes from, where it's like, frankly, I don't need to talk at all. She can talk about whatever she wants. I'd be happy just listening to her. Because I'm watching her have this conversation with this guy about this musical.
But you're focused on her, though.
Exactly.
You're watching her.
I'm watching her, but
Yeah.
that's the interesting thing that I find just with people, because you learn a lot about a person,
About how
in
they
the way
interact with other people.
how they interact with other people,
Yeah.
their mannerisms, the way they speak, the questions
she
she's
was showing
asking
kindness.
him, and just everything about it. It was just so intriguing to me that I'm just watching her speak to this other person, and I'm just like, I'm cool listening for a little while, not all fucking night, but I'm like, I'm cool with listening to her talk to this guy about it. For a little bit, like I was just kind of watching that and was just kind of drinking it in. She asked his name. He said his name. She'd misheard it as Edgar. Not his name.
Oh.
But that just stuck out in my mind.
Interesting.
And-
That's interesting. I like that.
I like that.
And
like that.
our bartender, Ulysses. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we were there for, probably 3 hours we were there until the bar closed. And then, he's coming back for he was taking care of us. We said, yeah, that's like, what's your name? It's like Ulysses. We're like,
Yeah, what a great
that's
name.
great. I was like, that's great. So as I'm writing this, fast forward a couple days later, I'm writing this. I'm just like, what am I going to call these two? I was like, well, I got two names from that night. Like, let me just use those. So that's kind of how it, but since the names didn't play into it, it kind of didn't matter what I named them, but I still kind of wanted to tie them to that night because that happened on that night. That ended up, I can't really say fizzling out. Like, I think it went nowhere abruptly. Let's put it that way. So that ended up not turning into a thing for reasons. But after this second night out, I did go home and I started working on another story. I don't want to put it out there. I think I may have mentioned it to you. My initial idea that I started writing, but I thought this involves too many moving parts because at the time, I'm thinking
you had pitched me another idea, and yes, I do.
it was
recall
a
this
couple of vignettes,
conversation.
but I thought this requires this is going to take like 6 or 7 actors. Like we might not be able to do this in a day.
And you know what? This actually is a question because I don't know the actual answer.
Sure.
Is the Out like your first short film?
Short film in as much as that there were resources that were used and it's not like a sketch film that kind of opens and ends. Like I did with my first podcast, we did a bunch of like shorts, so to speak, like comedic, shorts, but we just looked at them as like sketch videos. There were a couple that were adventures of the four of us in different situations. But an actual short film, like as a directorial debut, I would say technically it's not, but I consider it to be the first directorial effort, like for real, because this was one where there's actually, actual resources, actual money, actual cameras. And I know that's not what there are a lot of, DIY filmmakers who would say, yeah, but you don't need all that stuff. Absolutely. You do not need all that stuff. However, this was going to be a leveling up for me, especially because it's been a while since I'd written and directed anything. I knew that I was going to be approaching this from a bigger level.
But with how
Yes.
it turned out and the reactions we've gotten and how many stories, like, I didn't know that about the engineer, you watching it with him and being like, yo, are you kidding me?
I didn't know that either.
Like,
You told me you had to sit
I
with
think
it after you
it's-
watched
Yeah,
I had
it.
to sit with
You
it.
really had to be like, wow, that actually hit.
Well, because, like, that is, like, that's every story. Like, that's such a relatable thing where it's just like, even if it's not that particular scenario where, it's, I'm just going to give you an out. It's just, who has the audacity to just be like, let me just stop you right there?
Yeah, I don't know about this.
What? I guess I'm not going to be nice to you. I guess, wow, screw me, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Yeah, like,
But it
oh,
was, but
yeah,
that
yeah,
was the shocking
yeah.
thing is it was actually vulnerable of her to even say that. And even in the moment, I'm kind of, and upon reflection too, it's like, listen, I've had some women do some crazy shit to get close to me. I've never had one say like, you may not want to. Like that did kind of,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that actually did strike me as like, what, really?
No,
Because again,
I-
we were well aware that there was something else going on. Like it was.
like, things were clicking, like a puzzle piece.
No, it was-
And you were
we-
just
yeah.
like,
We
this is
connected
dope.
on a completely
And then
unique
she
level. yeah.
halted you in the middle of building the puzzle. And was
Like
like,
I'm gonna let
Right.
you, I'm gonna let you finish, but yeah, that's literally what she did. That's literally what she did. I remember the first time you told me, like when we sat down on my pod and talked about it, I was like, I respected it.
Yeah,
I did. I respected. I respected
it was
the
having
self-awareness.
the conscience,
Yeah.
and at the same time the vulnerability to
Yeah.
say like, I don't know about this, and here's why is a big deal. But it is that it's more of a I guess you could say universal kind of conversation because it's like there's the logical side, which is Ugo's character, and then there's kind of the emotional side, which is my character, the head and the heart, which is why that's the tagline for it, because you have that internal debate, and that's literally how the script came to be because I kept playing this conversation and figuring this out on my own in my head. And at a point, kind of having a conversation with those two sides of myself, I literally sat down and just on my voice notes on my phone, like dictated a conversation into my phone that was like 7 minutes. And I said, oh, this is a script. So I started writing that. And it was literally the end of, it was like the 28th or 29th of June or something like that. So 4th of July was that weekend. I think I worked on the second draft of it, a more refined version, over 4th of July weekend. So I already had 2 drafts done within a week of it happening. So I thought, ooh, this is something. But then, fast forward, nothing comes from it, and I let it go. I'd done 3 drafts, but I said, no, you know what? I don't know about
You had done
doing
3?
anything with this. I think you read the 3rd draft, because I think I said, the first one I sent to you, I think was the 3rd draft. But but then when things didn't turn out, I was like, okay, this is going to then go, this will exist on the hard drive with other unproduced projects, and I'll see what's what. Plus, since the spring, we've been planning a read-through of the feature screenplay that I'd written. And that was happening at the end of October. And my mind was also on that, because I thought, well, I got this feature in my back pocket. Like, I'm not necessarily going to jump into doing a short. But also the idea of, the reason I also pursued doing this was I thought, well, I can write within reason. Well, there's 2 characters. And even before I presented it to you, I had you in mind as what ended up being the Ulysses character, because I thought, oh, this seems like a question for like a younger friend asking an older friend, like trying to say, well, why did she this? Why did that? More from a curiosity standpoint as opposed from a logical standpoint. So originally it was written from that point of view, as opposed to, for lack of a better term, like a peer. Kind of looking at it with his, bringing a similar experience to it. It was more from a curiosity of it and asking kind of like, so what are you going to do?
Eventually, but like I think for that it had to be.
It ultimately, obviously, it worked the way it was supposed to. Yeah. But so fast forward, we end up having this read through of my feature length screenplay at it was the end of October at Giant Pop Secret Stash, which was crazy that even happened anyway, because it was shortly after was this 2022? So yeah, shortly after my 41st birthday, on my 30th birthday, October 7th, 2011, at the Count Basie Theater, they showed, it just happened to be on October 7th, they showed Clerks through Clerks 2 all of the Jersey Kevin Smith movies for free. All you had to do was RSVP for tickets. So I spent my 30th birthday watching 6 Kevin Smith movies in the theater. Now, fast forward 11 years later, I've written my own feature, and I'm doing read-through in his comic book store because the manager and I have become friends. And he said, why don't you have it here? Because I was going to have it here.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, exactly. And he was like, why don't you have it here Sunday night? Like, the store closes at 6. Get everybody together here. And I'm like, one of those moments, just like, is this real? Is this my life? Like that I'm reading this Kevin Smith's comic book store. Just crazy. So anyway, you were so impressed with that script, you said, do you have anything else? And I said, well, I have the short that I wrote over the summer. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'll send that to you because it's a quick read. I think it was 11 pages or something. And I said, yeah, I'll send it to you. And I sent it to you, and I think you called me and said, like, dude, this screenplay's dope. Like, we got to make it. I'm like, really? I don't know why you sounded like Dr. John when you called me, but you're like, this screenplay. Listen, man, we got to produce this screenplay.
I was like,
you were using your dating voice with me. You were really trying to seduce me into making this film. Man, listen, man, we got to make this movie. Or what's his name? Bulldog, who's a wrestler? Isn't that his voice?
I put on my Rolf the Dog voice.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to make this.
Yeah, I want to make this, and I'll help produce it with you. And you did. You said, I will produce this thing with you. Like, we got to make this. And I said, all right, listen, let me work on it. Because it was also, the whole thing was very, like, positive, too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of ground it a little bit more and ground the Ulysses character more, considering the way things went. So as much as it was written from a place of still kind of being, in the throes of, that early part of a crush.
What was the date
was very
of the Secret Stash thing again? Do you remember?
That was the end of October. I don't remember exactly when.
Because
October 25th, 26th, somewhere around there.
Because I don't think we started having production talks for the out until after Just Desserts.
It was, you know what? It was the weekend. It was the last weekend in October because the following weekend was Just Desserts. And we had talked about it. And it's so funny. You read it right away and you sent it to your buddy who was working on Just Desserts, Ryan Scott. And I didn't even know you sent it to anybody because he talked to me. He's like, I read your screenplay and I'm excited to do this. I was like, oh, he's going to be working on it? I didn't know. Like, it very quickly became, oh, we're gonna make this thing. This is real.
There was a version of the out that was going to be way more produced than what we ended up doing. Like, because I did a short film with them called Just Desserts. Yeah. And Just Desserts was like my first, what I call real short film. Like we had like the proper like kind of crews. Like we were shooting
with resources.
Alexas,
yeah, same thing.
We were shooting with like resources. And with that, I was like, so this is really how this operates. Like I had the rough idea from like film
you had a
school
taste
and
of it,
stuff
but
like that.
actually on a working set, you're like,
to be
this is the job.
That position of it, I was like, finally, now I have the first-hand knowledge and I know what it takes.
Right.
So when he sent it to me, even though I know it is a conversation and I knew that the people that I wanted to work on it could make it look good, I was just like, yeah, let's do it this way. And that was originally how we were going to do it. And then just kind of life dictated other.
Well, that's exactly it. So all of a sudden, it was first weekend in November. We were shooting Just Desserts. And we knew nothing was going to happen. Like, we can't get this done before Christmas. Like, let's take a look at maybe doing this in January. So Christian had written this script for a short that his buddy was going to be directing to get him into film school. They were shooting this short film. Yeah. Well, no, this.
Why do I keep forgetting about this fucking
I don't know why. Because it hasn't been released. I just saw it, and we did it almost 2 years ago.
Oh, that's right.
So it's kind of. I don't know why that's like the forgotten Christian Cortez.
Monster Motivation. Monster Motivation is about a guy who's running from the monster that sneaks up behind you when you run up the stairs from the basement.
That's been chasing him since he was a kid.
And this monster starts to have an existential crisis about why he can't catch this
He's
dude.
never caught this kid.
And he's just like, I'm just so overwhelmed, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. It's literally him talking to the monster in the basement.
And I got to play the monster.
Hype him up.
I got to play the monster, which was a lot of fun. I'd audition, understandably. I'm like, listen, everyone's a professional in this thing. I'll audition. I'm not scared of auditioning because it was a voice part. I was on set, but I wasn't on camera. But it was very much a voice. I had to put on a character voice, so I had to make sure. What?
Your arms are on camera.
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of, but that's another. That'll get screened somewhere. We're gonna have to have an event. That'll be Cape Fest, the first Cape Fest.
Yeah,
show.
nice.
We got a couple of commercials to show.
That, and that was another thing to show you, like, oh yeah, we can do tiny shorts.
In a day, too. Like, that was something we shot a single day, and we got all this done. Oh, granted, that was like a 6-page script. It was 6 or maybe 7 pages. Was it 8? Okay. It was short.
Yeah.
And in fact, after I told you I was going to brush up, because you even said when I sent you the draft that was 11 pages, the first one you read, you said maybe I'd tighten it up a little bit and cut it down to like 10 pages, just to maybe shorten it. And literally the next draft you got was 14 pages. Yeah. So instead of shortening it, actually, but I fleshed it out better. So it was a better script.
That's the only reason why I wasn't going to clown you when you sent me the new draft, because I was like, oh, this is one of those where it's like he made it better.
Yeah.
By it being longer. Like it had more room to breathe, and there were more
It was more balanced too. The conversation was more balanced because I was able to bring in the element of the skeptical friend who's saying, I don't, have you thought about this? Or what about this? The one who's asking the questions that you would ask a friend who's, kind of trying to figure something out in, whatever the in a conversation like that. And I wanted to kind of ground it in more, not have it be. So I don't want to say blindly optimistic, but I did want it to be more grounded as opposed to kind of like head in the clouds. Oh, this is the early days. Isn't this great? And blah, blah, blah.
This was something that I actually wanted to bring up when we were talking an earlier point. Why I think also that it really is cool that the out resonates, because I know it's more it's a comedy amongst discussion, but outside of it, the story that you're telling is a rom-com. But like what I like about
off camera, there's a rom-com happening.
Off camera, there's a rom-com going on, but on camera, it's just this cool, funny discussion.
Right.
But then what I like about it is that it does still have romantic comedy sensibilities. Like it's still like that kind of thing where it's like, hey, we're just talking about like what these things, what's happening.
The scene would fit in like a When Harry Met Sally or a Love Actually or a movie like that.
What I think is so cool about it is because, let's be honest, there are some things about certain rom-coms that don't age well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of those things where it talks about men's feelings, but without diving into incel-y territory, which tends to be kind of where these things kind of falling into that trap.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I didn't deserve this, like all that kind of shit. No, it's a very honest discussion about two people realizing that they probably met at a poor time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things where I'm like, that's why I'm encouraging it, because I'm like, I love that aspect of it.
Right.
Because
it's a kind of a crossroads moment where it's like, do I take her at her word or do I follow what I want to do?
With your heart with the script.
Right.
And there's not many people making films that do that.
That's definitely not from a male perspective. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You never see that.
Absolutely not from a male.
Yeah,
So
like that's not a thing.
That's again,
I mean, it probably somewhere, but not that we've seen in let's say
not that we've
mainstream
seen
movies.
mainstream movies.
Yeah.
So that's why I do think it would make the great film, because I mean it's a great short, but that's why I think that it's important stories like these, and I wish that they were more widely seen and circulated, because it's like, well, you could share the out when you see the link.
Yeah, so it can be more widely circulated.
Yeah.
Link in the bio.
Link in the bio.
Link down there.
But I think that make it okay to have these discussions. Like, there's no reason you should feel like shame or anything about that by showing your feelings or emotions.
Well, that's definitely part of the response to it that we're gonna get to. But to tie together, kind of move forward. Well, actually, just to dial back. Literally like 3 weeks from before we shot Monster Motivation. So our friend Marv, the heart and soul of Bravery Studios, was doing a daily show.
Marvelous.
And he wanted to do a Zoom panel, whether or not Die Hard was a Christmas movie. And he reaches out to me. It is. And Ugo and I were in agreement. We didn't know it yet, but he said, I've got a couple of guys in mind. They're big film fans like you. And I hadn't done anything with Marv. I had done a show at Bravery. I kind of did a one-on-one with Marv, but he said, I really like you to be part of the Zoom panel. It was a couple of days. It was like the week of Christmas, like the 20th, 21st, something like that.
It was in the morning too, so
it was early.
I wasn't too happy about that.
It was like 8 a.m. Like we're early birds by necessity, but night owls by nature.
Yeah.
Night owls by nature
Bruce
are
Willis in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
We're like, we just want to nap.
Come to the pod. We'll have a few laughs.
But the thing was like, hey man, after the holidays, we got to get together. So we shot Monster Motivation on a Saturday. The night before, Ugo and I meet the first time at this kind of what became the Bravery get-together.
Yeah. It was virtually, though. It wasn't in person.
Right. The panel was. So we finally met in person on, I wrote the date down. January 13th. We shot Monster Motivation on January 14th. I actually went back. I made my notes, I'm telling you. It's very out of character for Cape.
You know what scares me, though?
Go ahead.
That there are notes?
No, not that there are notes.
Chris keeps records. Holy shit.
No, not just that as well. We've been talking for an hour, and we've only...
We're on like the fourth bullet point.
I peeped the same thing. I was like, oh, shit.
Like, we got a lot to cover. Oh my God.
This is what editing's for. This is what
Yeah,
editing's
exactly.
For. That's what editing's
Well,
for.
if need be.
No, I get it. I just had to clown that for a second.
No,
Wait
I
a second.
I agree. Well, no, everything else goes, and there's more group participation. Obviously, the origin thing is very much me, and you were the next one in line for it. Now, Ugo shows up.
But you guys meet.
Well-
That's right. You hadn't really...
We hadn't met in person, and you don't get a vibe from somebody until you actually, as this story, in real life played out, you don't necessarily know. Now the thing is, I had pitched the idea to you about you playing Ulysses, and you're like, I'm not comfortable with an actor. Yeah, exactly. You're like, I don't know about that. I don't feel good about that. And then
I don't know. Like,
you,
now,
as a performer, you were questioning it, and then we thought about another friend of ours, so we thought, oh, maybe they'd be good at it, but we didn't know necessarily. But we said, we'll leave it. We'll work it out in January. See what's going on. But we meet up at this sushi restaurant. Marvin invites a bunch of us to this sushi joint in East Rutherford, and we meet for the first time. We hit it off immediately. Like, he walks in and sees me because this is just my daily uniform, and he's like, I knew you wore a leather jacket.
Yeah, and I wasn't even.
He was just like, wasn't
even thinking about when I
he
said
walked
it.
in, he saw me, he was just like, I knew you'd wear a leather jacket. I'm like, yeah.
Let the intrusive thoughts win.
Yeah, 100%. And not just that too, but even taking a step back to the virtual time we had met for the Die Hard panel. Like, of everyone in the panel, he has like a radio voice. Like, he has radio voice, he has like commercial voice, like Lucky Strike cigarettes, like the stuff we were joking about on the first Black Friday last
Would
year.
you like to try a cup of Wilkins coffee?
Exactly.
I never tasted it.
Now, what do you think of Wilkins?
Exactly.
Genius.
Yeah, so it's like, when we met in person, it was so trippy because his voice like matched.
You just saw my face on the Zoom, so it wasn't like.
But it's different.
We didn't have like a phone call discussion about Die Hard.
It's still different when you meet somebody in person.
It is. No, it
just-
totally
it
is.
just- it just
Especially because I
does.
got the mic set up. It's EQ'd. It's a whole other
Exactly.
thing.
That's what I'm
It's-
saying.
there is a bit of performance mode
Yes,
to it. Whereas
as somebody
we're hanging out.
as somebody that works in entertainment, as someone that's a producer himself, it's like, yo, when you're doing stuff on camera and when you're doing stuff virtually and when you're doing stuff live, it's three completely different arenas.
Totally.
So it's like, we do the virtual panel and we hit it off because we were talking about Die Hard. It's a great movie, and then we're sitting and we're just bullshitting, eating sushi, sharing crazy stories. We're all podcasters.
And there was probably about 12 people. We sat next to each other just by chance.
we just
happened
happened to sit next to each other, and I swear by the end of the night, I was just like, yo, he's really dope. He's really dope. Like Chris.
There was a
really
vibe
dope.
where it's like
there's definitely
we
a vibe.
hit it off, and
Yeah.
it was in the back of my mind. And I was thinking about it. I don't remember if I mentioned it to you. I don't know if you remember necessarily, and you're tired already. If I even said to you, I think I have someone in mind. I don't know if I said to you when we shot Monster Motivation the next day. I don't know if I verbalized it at all.
No,
but
I don't recall.
I had texted Ugo the day after that Sunday and said, "Hey man, I got this script that I think I have. I think it'd be really
the
good
guy
for
he
this
met
part."
once in person.
Yeah. I just had a feeling. I'm like, I think he'd be really good for it. And I did. And I checked. And yeah, I sent you, it was Sunday night. Well, technically it was Monday morning. It was like 1 a.m. I emailed you the script. I was like, just read it. Let me know what you think. It's something we're looking to shoot. But we talked about on Monster Motivation. I'd kind of gone through it. And I had sent it to all the crew because we were going to have a 6-person crew originally to shoot the out. It's mostly the Monster Motivation crew, who was a condensed version of your Just Desserts crew. Mm-hmm. And they were all in. And I emailed it to all of them. They liked the script, which wasn't necessary. Like, it wasn't a requirement to work on it, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're actually into it. That's nice to have. But the original thought was, we're going to shoot this in 2 weeks. We're going to shoot at the end of January, which was just the thought of like, well, we could do this quickly. This seems pretty straightforward, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I think even then I encouraged you to like schedule for 2 days.
You had mentioned it to me, and I'm like, it's just talking. You're like, I kind of brushed it. And admittedly, that was my naivete.
Monster Motivation is also just talking. And I know it took a day, but peep this. So is Just Desserts.
And that was 3 days, yeah.
Just Desserts took 3 days and ended up being an almost 20-minute movie.
Yeah.
So...
Well, that was in my mind because I'd gone through the parts and read it because I wanted to see, like, well, how long does this thing take? So I performed both characters, and I recorded myself performing both characters, and it clocked in at like 8 to 9 minutes. So I was like, oh, okay, this will work. We could probably shoot this in a day in my head. But anyway, Ugo read it, he was into it.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't remember if you suggested or I had said like, hey, let's meet up and actually go through it. You
I
mind
th-
reading
I
through
think-
What was
it?
your suggestion?
I think I suggested it because
Okay.
number one, I still didn't really know you. And
understandable.
number two, like when I had read the script, I'm just
Ugo is so
bad.
black. Everything that has come out of his mouth has just been so validating to like who
Listen.
I am.
No,
It's
it's
like,
I've
that's
been-
the first
I have a
thought- that's the
lifetime of
first
not-
thought, but
It's
I don't
facts.
say it out loud all the time.
No,
I have a
it's facts.
lifetime of not trusting the Blue-Eyed Devil.
It's
and
facts.
I would really, really like to get together and see if there's a vibe.
It's facts, man. It's facts. Not just that too. It was a combination. It was a number of reasons why I wanted to meet in person. Number one, I didn't really know you like that. Number
Totally.
two, I read the script. And I give him shit to this day. I'll always give him shit for it, even when we do the spinoff. Like 14 pages, no action. It's straight dialogue.
Just sitting and talking. Like, this is a lot of work. And I knew that. I'm like,
so
this
I'm-
is very wordy.
Right, so I'm just like, okay, because when I got through the first 3 pages, I was like, all right, so I'm waiting for the action to pop in. I'm waiting for like a scene change. I was like, whoa, so we're sitting down, straight dialogue, 14 pages. I was like, this is like a script because I'm reading our exchange. I'm reading what we're saying to each other. I'm just like, yo, this is like a thing. Yeah. But again, since I didn't know you like that,
Right.
I was like, all right, let me see how serious you are about
Totally.
this. Because if this was just like a passion project piece or something to do with your
Or
friends,
a vanity project, just to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot this movie. Because we've all all
Right.
worked with those people who are just doing something just to do it.
I swear to God, I would have said no.
Totally.
I would have said no. I'd have been like, listen, I got way too much going on. But once we had dinner the first time, because we had dinner like 3 times.
Well, listen, since the aforementioned long-term relationship that ended, Ugo's been the person I've dated the most, if we're being honest.
literally.
He's had more, I've taken him to more dinners. Like, Ugo's been the person I've most seriously dated
Yeah.
in the
Ugo's, like,
last
looking
3
around,
years.
he's like, shit, where's the lie?
It's not-
Kinda.
it's
We
not-
went-
It's not. It's not.
We went to dinner a couple of times.
But it was dope, and it played out the way it was supposed to, because by the second time we met up, because I didn't initially agree. I was still on the fence after the first time we went. The second time we met up, and I'd really got a good. You made some corrections to
Yeah,
it.
you given some feedback, and I made some tweaks to it.
Right.
Also, because having met you, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can tweak it to be a bit more of his voice.
Yes.
As opposed to me writing it just as a character.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
to be
Cast.
quite honest,
Yes.
I think that's like, I think when you get down to casting, I think sometimes you have to do that sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
I think, like, especially because I'll write things with actors in mind for it now. Like
Yeah.
even if it's an actor that I know I won't obtain, at least it's like a benchmark for a performance.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
reference point.
And for you, like, had you acted?
Yeah, I'd done a lot of small stuff. I'd done a lot of music videos. I'd done I'd done some like some theater performance stuff, like we're talking like maybe middle and like high school. Like, so it had been a while, but the last, like, I did a short film / music video for this Grammy Award winning artist. Her name's Whitney Payton. And and it was a small role. I played like a soldier, had a shitty French accent, like, drop your weapon. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, like that was, but I was like in full army fatigue with the gun and everything. And I remember how much fun I had. I remember how much fun I had.
God, the French accent is everything.
Literally. So it's like, but I hadn't,
Link for that video down in the description.
literally.
No, I need the link, Doc.
I need
Dude,
to,
we got to see this.
Yeah,
Let's go to the group chat.
yeah. Hey, I
Get your hands up.
gotta find that.
Yeah, I need that.
Drop your weapon. Drop your weapon.
That's going to be your
Whip
text
up.
tone from now on. I'm setting that. I'm going to grab that drop.
Your weapon. Oh, dude.
That might be a sample in the song.
Hey, it's all.
God.
Have at it. But it
That's my new producer dad. Drop your weapon. Drop your
drop. It'll be a drop on my next podcast. I'll add it.
Yeah, that's got to go on the bravery board.
Has to.
Dude.
Please.
Has to.
I'm pulling that drop.
I'm stealing this one.
Go for it. Still the audio. Grab it.
I'm pulling it. It's
Still
going
the
in the group
audio
chat.
and grab it.
Free use.
Nah. So it's like so yeah. I'd done a bunch, and so I was like ready. I knew what I needed to do to make it happen. But when I saw how serious he was about it, how dedicated he was about it, and how he had a vision for it. He's like, yeah, we're gonna do film festivals. We're gonna get it here. It's not. And I got the vibe by the second time we met up that this isn't just like a passion project. This isn't just like some shit he wants to do with his friends. I was like, okay.
Yeah, this is for real.
And
there actually is a plan. For
and
this.
the story too. That's the other part that sold me. That this is coming from the vulnerability, like dating, anxiety, depression, like all that stuff. Like once I gave a good read through of like what exactly we're going to be talking about and how he's confiding in me and how he's trusting me, not just in the script as Ulysses, but as a friend. I mean,
Totally.
Once
it's a vulnerable script.
Yes,
and
right,
we're
yeah.
From the jump, it's. I know that we joke that you had clowned it because you were just like, "Where's the action?"
Yeah.
But like, really, I guess maybe it kind of caught you off guard because you thought like it was like, "Oh, this is." I was expecting. Like a
more
another-
elaborate.
When you said script, I had a completely different idea of what you were going to send me versus what I got, and that factored into it. But
then you finally get into it and you're reading and you're like, oh,
this is good.
It's that.
No, this is good. I was like, this is good. This is well written, and also too so you can.
Go ahead. Take it,
once I saw that he was not tyrannical. He was just like, listen, like, what do you feel about this? How would you say it? Or can you give me some ideas? Or could you give me some? Can you give me an example? And I would send examples, and then he sent me the scene from Heat.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about Pulp Fiction, and it's crazy. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the last roundtable.
Go ahead.
Probably a couple months before we shot, I hadn't seen Reservoir Dogs in a while, and I hadn't seen Pulp Fiction in a while. I rewatched both of them to put myself in a great mind frame of a conversation or heavy dialogue scene.
Right.
So I'm just like, and then we started sending each other memes. I was like, you get it,
Yeah.
John Travolta, hair and all, Sam Jackson. Okay, so we're doing like we're doing this, and so I was even that much more ready by the time it was time to shoot.
Totally. And also, when you look at, because everybody says, oh, it's a lot of dialogue, oh, it's a lot of talking. I mean, this one's all dialogue. But I said, when you break down most movies, like, he calls me Tarantino all the time anyway.
Yeah.
But like take every Tarantino movie, like we've all seen him. It's like 90% of the movie is two characters having a conversation about something. Yeah. It's not all action. It's not all something outrageous.
Yeah, and then shit pops off.
Exactly.
We're talking, and then shit pops off.
Right.
And then,
which is his thing.
Yes.
But when you think about look at any of his films, just be like, yeah, most of it is two characters having a conversation about given thing. I mean, obviously.
We'll do for the end.
But Pulp Fiction starts, the two of them are talking about like a pilot.
There's
What's a pilot?
There's a shootout.
Oh,
There's a
it's like,
shootout.
Like that's how it is. Two dudes talking about a normal thing, and then all of a sudden they go in and they got to assassinate some people. They got to murder some guys. While eating a burger. But that was also an odd life imitating art element to it as well, because we didn't talk about the script when we first got together for dinner. We spent the first 2 hours just getting to know each other, just talking. So it was actually a friendship being built to play friends on film.
Yeah.
So that was the funny part.
Yeah.
Like we actually were developing a friendship that led to having a genuine friendship that literally 2.5 months later we had to present on screen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there was a genuine kind of baseline there for our friendship, aside from the fact we rehearsed. And I also knew he'd acted a little bit just from I did a little bit of digging. I did a little research on you. But he and I also had the reference point, and you guys can agree. Even Nick.
We had the same thought, didn't we?
even our director of photography, Nick. We all have a musician background.
Yeah.
And I even said it to him. We had a similar perspective when it came to rehearsal, when it came to performance, and we both have that mindset that we came in with, where it's just like we rehearse it, and then we show up on the day. Like for me, the rehearsal's the work. The gig is the play. The gig is fun.
Yeah,
you show up, you know your part, you got your performance, you can play, you can have fun. You do the work on your own, and you show up for the gig, and you perform. So we rehearsed it like a play. We met up in person. We basically alternated weeks. Once a week we rehearsed. We in-person Zoom.
Yeah.
Which let me tell you, as a producer, oh my God, that's what made it the only way we could do it.
Yeah.
Well,
like a billion percent.
So you guys had been doing the Zoom rehearsals, and you sent me, I think, the second one.
Well, before that, because at that point we'd met up and we kind of clicked, and I thought like, I think we could do this in a day. But you and I and Nate, who was supposed to be the director of photography, who was supposed to shoot it, you guys had a Zoom with me and saying you should probably plan for 2 days. Like this crew, the most we've done in a day is 7 pages, so you should probably plan for 2 days. Which, again, could be me being delusionally optimistic.
Listen,
or
if you remember my
naive.
motivation being 7 pages and the out is 14, at the very least we can get the first half in one. That was the thought process.
Exactly. And I got that. When you guys said it, I was like, okay, these guys have
Even
done a
Blurry
lot more.
took 2
Yes.
days. Like,
Yeah, your most recent short. Yeah, and it did. And and that doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue. There's a lot of visually going on with it. No. And I get it. But it made sense, and I had to get my head around like, okay, these guys have more experience doing this type of thing, working with resources and actually shooting this stuff. So you know what? We'll take them at their word. Okay, we'll plan for 2 days. We'll figure it out. Now at this point, obviously, we didn't shoot the end of January. We pushed to the end of February. U-Go was going to Italy for his birthday, so we didn't rehearse that week.
Yeah.
But he still worked on the script while he was even away in Italy, which
yeah.
is even more impressive.
Yeah.
We were going to shoot the end of February. We were having trouble finding a location. We could not find a place where we were going to shoot it. And I had a conversation at a venue in North Jersey. They were going to build a bar set. And I reached out to a few musician friends for some posters so we could do like set deck. So it looked like a bar or a coffee house or whatever. So I was like, all right, we're going to build it. We'll build a bar set. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. And there was budget allocated for all of it. And then because of crew issues, we had to push. Ended up being the end of March, which worked in our favor because out of nowhere, Red Tank Brewing in
also,
Red Bank.
On the crew issues, I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
It is not indicative. Like, this happens all the time.
All the time. It's the rule.
This is
there are
literally-
exceptions, but this is the rule.
Yeah,
Stuff changes through the
stuff-
course of pre-production. It just does.
happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is literally no ill will towards anybody who was like involved at any certain point.
Right.
It's just we realize that you could also allocate those funds towards other things that would be better in the long run.
Yes.
And to be quite honest, the brewery then provided us not only the ideal location, you then didn't have to worry that someone was about to build a set for you. And then
Right.
And then depending on how it's shot, sometimes sets look like sets.
Yes, and that was a consideration too, where I was like, "Are there real places?" And we talked about it. There were Ryan Scott had suggested a place that I was going to check out. We thought about, and Red Tank was under our nose the entire time, and it just worked out. It was crazy that it worked out, and we had these dates in March 27th and 28th. We'd laid out to shoot. We had those 2 days. We worked out. It was a Monday and Tuesday because breweries closed those days for brewing. So it was just like, okay, they need to do their stuff in the morning. You know, they brew their batches of beer. And then for the afternoon, that's it. We just had to work it out with Tom, who I knew Tom. I'd met Tom at his band Wave Breaks gigs. He and I had talked. I didn't put together, he was our contact at Red Tank the entire time. I didn't remember how it came about that you had mentioned right under our nose. Why don't we shoot it at Red Tank? I was like, perfect. We don't need to decorate the place either. The place has a look to it. And, you know, this could be a brewery, it could be a coffee house, could be a restaurant. It doesn't matter. Like, it has an ambiguous enough look that, okay, that works just fine. And I stopped by to check it out, and I was just like, oh, yeah. I mean, I've been there anyway, funnily enough.
It's more to the
First
filmmaking
time, I don't know if you
attitude to
remember.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick, because
Go.
Darren's eagerly awaiting his turn to give his 2 cents about like. So I watched this short, and after I got my head around it, I made some drum tracks. But that's actually where I first met you. I don't know. Do you remember that?
At Red Tank?
April of 2021. Yeah, it was my first
wow.
post-pandemic gig with Serious Matters played there.
I have footage from that I posted from that show.
Yeah, I have a couple of photos from
My,
that night.
my buddy drove out to that, and I was like, "Oh, it's
Right.
Like,
You were just like,
God,
oh, shit,
people are
surprise.
here."
Yeah, and I met Chris Mad virtually 2 months before because he was engineering this show remotely. So it was the first time meeting him as well in person, which was so funny too because you're so used to seeing people sitting down. He and I literally almost in years. It was right out of a sitcom. Literally like, oh, you're taller than I expected. he's like 6'1". He's just a little taller than me, and it's just funny because you're seeing someone sitting down, you assume like, oh, they're not. You know, you wouldn't expect him to be 6 feet tall. Yeah, I get that all the time. Oh, you're much taller in person, but because people used to just see me on, you know, sitting on a show. But so it was. I do too. Yeah, R.I.P. Red Tank
R.I.P.
Company.
Red Tank.
But it was just funny that like it hadn't even occurred to me, and I didn't know like Tom was our in.
I don't even know how it came up in conversation.
I don't remember, but
either.
you called me and said we got a place right under our noses, and I'm like, where? And you're like, Red Tank Brewing, and we can use it. They're closed. You gave me the whole thing, and I'm like, I knew the place anyway, having gone there
Oh my
specifically
God,
for
that's
shows.
Right. I had talked. I think I talked to Tom first, and then you guys had a convo, and then we were like, yeah, let's lock it in.
Yeah, because I'd come in and I'm like, oh wait, you're with us, and he's like, no, we're closed. I'm like, no, I'm shooting the film. Like I wrote the film. Like you're gonna be here with us for the shoot. He's like, oh yeah, and we both had the moment of just like, how do we not know this? We met, we've talked. Like, how do we?
I know
at his gigs.
exactly how that went because I know Tom.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah, it was just something
Exactly.
I'm like, how did this not come up a month ago? Like, why wasn't Red Tank top of the list the entire time? It was just one of those weird things.
And because
that
of the
just
way
came
that
about.
we ended up shooting it, Tom was our first audience member.
Literally,
Oh my
was
God!
there.
And
Well,
it
that was the fun part.
That was incredible.
One last
that was incredible.
One last asterisk on the pre-production part of it. So we had the crew got smaller and smaller as we kept pushing the dates back because people got hired to do other stuff, and that's exactly what happens. But Nate was always going to shoot it. We're shooting Monday the 27th, Tuesday the 28th. He calls me Saturday, 2 days before we're supposed to shoot. He got a gig with a household name.
Yeah, like a
it's
Spielberg kind of deal.
Well, not that, but it's. I mean, I don't want to show specifics, but
giving like context.
Caliber.
a major,
Like
a
caliber
household name comedian.
And it honestly, it has since pushed his career.
Oh, without a doubt. And I knew that. Listen, if I got an offer for a gig to work with this person, it was my movie. I would have been like, sorry, guys, we got to pull the plug. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Because it was a really great opportunity. Now, to be fair, he said, I did agree to do this. I know you were counting on me. He called me to say, how do you feel about it? I was like, dude, I know it's not personal. It's business. Like, you can't say no to something like this. Now, Nick was already on board, and we had a Zoom with Nick a couple of days before because he was going to be, I knew I wanted to cross shoot.
Yeah.
2 cameras pointing at us.
Which was a great call, by the way.
Because, well,
Which
thanks.
was a
Well,
great
because
call.
it's how a lot of comedies shoot
Yeah.
with 2 cameras rolling. Particularly, like, there's that era of
Single cam, we wouldn't have been able to
No.
do.
no, not at all. But also, a lot of comedies have a lot of improv. Like a lot of the movies with SNL actors, or like a lot of the Judd Apatow comedies, they would shoot 2 cameras because if there was improv, you want to get all angles. So you have that take. You don't have to recreate that response to it, and by setting up another camera. And I also knew that's how they shot the diner scene in Heat. And while that wasn't the vibe of our short,
Yeah.
I was like, no, this is how we do it. Because if we're rolling and knowing we were rehearsing, knowing we were like
I was
rolling,
thinking so.
like I was like,
Sorry.
things are moving along. I was like, well, if we're on a roll, let's just keep going. Like as much as we divided it up into 4 scenes, on paper anyway,
we-
it was just
we-
like if we have a take, like there were a couple of times we went straight through and just shot the whole. We did a take top to bottom a few times, and that was
Yeah,
my thought.
that's
And
true.
you having reviewed, I sent you 2 of the Zoom rehearsals. I sent them to you and Nate, and that's when you said, I think we do this in a day. And that wasn't even on person. I was like, in Zoom, excuse me, there's a little bit of a delay in tempo because we're, doing it virtually. I was like, in person, it's snappier and it moves. And like, we have it down. Like we have the script as written, but we also have enough of a reference point where if we play it loose with the words, that's okay too. Like we don't lose our place. We keep pushing forward. It doesn't throw us off if somebody words things differently because we're still communicating the information. So you even went in saying, I think we could do this in a day, but we're going to plan for the 2 and do it that way anyway.
Always prep for the worst.
And that's the smartest thing to do. Absolutely. And you were right to say, let's do 2 days because we could very well have needed 2 days to do it. And lo and behold, we go in to shoot. And that day, in spite of everything, wearing a lot of hats with directing and acting and everything, yes.
You forgot one thing.
Go ahead.
You mentioned Nick, but Nick ended up pivoting to
Oh,
be
I'm
our
sorry. Yes, that's
cinematographer.
right. So he knew
So-
because he was going to be second camera op because we were cross shooting. That was the thing. It was going to be Nate operating one camera, Nick operating the other. So when Nate had to pull out, unfortunately, I called Nick and said, how do you feel about shooting this thing? Do you have 2 cameras we can use? Or do you have access to a second camera? And he did. And he pulled it all together. And he knew. I sent him refs. I sent him the scene from Heat. I sent him the diner scene from the beginning of Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
There's also a scene in a hotel bar in the film Out of Sight with Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney, even though it wasn't a particularly romantic setting between Hugo and I. Just as far as, here's 2 people sitting at a table talking. Here's like a 6-minute scene of dialogue, just for reference points for like, if you want to shoot it this way, how you want to light it, like the different ways of shooting just dialogue. I just wanted to give him a couple of ideas. And he appreciated that, just having reference points, so he was able to think of what he wanted. Like, we didn't do a shot list or anything like that. It was just, we're going to show up. Hugo and I are going to perform it because we had it down.
Yeah.
All you need to do is capture it, guys. That was it. We got there at, I think 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
And
I was sleeping in my car.
yeah, and I kind of rapped on the window and woke you
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And
I was sleeping till 3. But we did it.
we did it.
Yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
showed up, and even just driving there, in spite of, directing and acting and the whole everything and all the months leading up to this, I just felt like I was driving to work. I actually felt shockingly comfortable that despite the what you think would be pressure of trying to pull this off, I actually felt completely comfortable. And I knew everybody knew their role well enough that, okay, this thing's going to work.
And I wonder if I've told you this in retrospect, because I had the same feeling on Just Desserts, putting that film together and then going on to set. I was just like, oh, like film sets are my happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's even in the midst of chaos, which they can end up being.
Oh yeah.
I love being on a film set, and I wasn't nervous because everything was prepared. We had all our gear, we're here, we're gonna do it.
And when everybody knows their role, whether it's you're on a film set, you're getting on stage, there's a comfort in everybody here knows what they're doing. We're going to do it. There's a confidence you get from showing up, just being like, everybody knows their role.
Yep.
It's like when you got a board op and knows what they're doing, when you know the other players in the band know what they're doing. Again, we all had that reference point of having to do that. Where
Had
it's
a flashback. They were like, oh,
no, well, totally.
that was a good gig.
That's a
Yeah.
good gig.
That's it. We know. We know.
One.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of times when it's not that way, we know when you show up, you're just like,
Why
wow,
was it
man.
in Missouri? Damn it!
I drove all the way here for this. But we were up and running pretty much at about noon, because we had to wait until the machines had calmed down and everything, because they were too loud. So we weren't able to really start shooting until noon. And by 6 p.m., we were done. It's shocking. We got 14 pages done in 6 hours, including a lunch break was in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, lightning struck. It's never going to strike twice. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
That's a rarity. And anytime I talk about that in the film festivals, the Q&As that followed the screenings, there was that reaction, not a collective gasp, but you heard from the other filmmakers, just when I said
faces,
we shot 14 pages in a day,
faces.
specifically 6 hours, there's always a reaction.
They're just
from the other
they're like,
filmmakers.
no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Which again, there are plenty of DIY filmmakers who will knock out features and do 14 pages in a day. Nothing wrong with that. But we didn't go in with that kind of expectation.
And it's not the norm.
And,
It's
oh
just
God,
not- it's
no,
definitely
not at all,
it's just
not at all.
It's just not.
And while being interrupted by frequent fire alarms, because as it would be, and Christian was losing his. I was remarkably calm. Actually, watching the footage back, I was shocked at how calm I was.
I was laughing.
Because I'm normally the person.
It's
Yeah,
funny. It's funny to me.
I'm normally the person who will not lose their shit, but at least just be like, "What is going on outside?" You're like, "What is the problem?" And this is something that can only happen to us. Will you fix that stand? That clip. That
Listen,
random
let
orphan
me tell
clip.
you something, okay?
I'm gonna clamp the nuts of the guy who was testing the fire alarm.
clamps you. Anyway,
The clamps.
The clamp.
the clamps.
I'm gonna clamp you.
Listen, I would have rather had it be me who was stressed versus you. And the only
And I
reason
appreciate
why
that.
I was stressing so much is because audio is such a crucial, important
Yes.
aspect of
It's
anything you do in
everything.
film.
It's everything.
For sure.
And especially because we also, when we were making it, we didn't know who was going to do the sound mix. So I was trying to make sure that I was getting you the best levels possible.
For sure.
In the event that it was going to be you. And then we went through post on Just Desserts, and I found a person. And I was like,
Right.
here you go.
Yes, you
And-
referred your
and-
guy to me.
And I referred that person to you, and they did a bang-up job. But, it was just annoying the crap out of me because every time, they would either get into a great performance groove or literally about to call action in the very fucking faintest of distance, you would hear.
So what happened was, and this always got a reaction to it, the Q&As. The building across the street from Red Tank was testing their new fire alarm that day because it couldn't go any other way.
Of course that day.
It couldn't go any other way.
Of course that day.
So,
Lord have mercy.
yay. And in spite of that, we got it done.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a very strict hard out at 6 o'clock because Tom had just gotten a puppy and had an appointment to take him to the vet.
Yeah.
So we had to be done. So
I think we were packing gear while we were shooting the last,
Yeah.
we literally,
I
the
remember
last
that.
setup was my monologue to camera. And as comfortable as I felt with that, I was thinking after we shot it, as much as I thought, maybe, because I only got 2 takes of that. And that's a long monologue. I've been doing it through the day anyway. And I knew we had different angles of it, but I thought, at a point, because people have asked, why did you choose to, at that point, change the angle to a new angle that we hadn't seen and we don't see again? And it was because now Edgar has to sell Ulysses on this. And he also kind of has to sell the audience. He needs to state his case. If it's just another shot like all the shots we've seen, it wouldn't have had the same impact. And also the original ending, thank you for happy accidents, But the original ending, and we shot, I think we did 2 takes of this as well, was the final line, like, you're right, I'm in. And it was just me looking into camera, smiling, and then it was going to be credits. But we did 1 take, only 1, where Nick suggested, hey, why don't you guys, toast your glasses at the end of it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we did a take. We did that once, and that's the ending. And I'm so much happy that was the ending. And had he not suggested it, it would have gone the other way, or it could have been just fade to black. So that was a perfect way to actually wrap it up. That was just a suggestion on the day, which was totally fine. And I was open to as well. So I'm grateful that he suggested that because it had that. I feel like that was a perfect kind of bow to put on what's kind of an open-ended story because, Edgar makes up his mind, but you don't know obviously where this thing goes after the story ends.
I fortunately got a little sneak peek because I did color it.
You did color it, yes. You saw a raw cut.
I didn't watch it with. There were some other nuances that you added to it. I feel like there was definitely some changes, especially with the cuts.
Yes, it was tightened up.
Some really great beats that were added, especially with U-Go, and just the playing into this conversation. And if I don't want to be mistaken, the music sound engineer was David, right? That was
David did the sound design, yes. Yeah.
So I know
all of it, yeah.
So I know that you had taken his stuff and added it and made these music cues, but the play of the film itself, at least to me, felt as if, just a bunch of people sitting at a table having this conversation, but then diving into something that not many people do speak about and to still have that lightheartedness, where you're
like it's a heavy conversation, but it's still fun.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the way that you brilliantly shot it because you were the project's DP.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you brilliantly shot it in a way where it's like, not only was it economical, like you shot it in a way that we were allowed to shoot it in a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
You shot it in a way where it kept us in a very tight bubble where we cared about these characters.
Yeah. Yes.
Like through sound effects were conveyed that we're at a bar with a lot of people. But like through the way you shot it and the way that you wrote the dialogue, it's just, I'm hyper focused on these two.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like I could care less about the fucking background. Like
Right.
I don't care. But like it takes you out of it because like it is a low budget thing, but like it somehow increases its production value by how little it has.
Yeah, the simplicity kind of wins out. And that's why I'm glad we ended up doing it just the 4 of us.
What I love too so much about it is like, oh my god, the shooting was all chaotic and crazy, but like it is something I'm so proud of looking back. Like we really did that.
We did it. And it didn't set in on the day. I thought I was going to drive home and be like emotional or something. I was just like, huh.
Oh yeah, I think I called you like
It was
3
logical.
days later.
Yeah.
And then we were like, did we just do that?
Yeah, like it's done. Like we've been talking about this for a couple of months. Like it's done now. Weird. Like it was more that than it was like some kind of emotion about like, oh my god, we did it. We pulled it off. There wasn't some like cinematic celebratory moment. Just like, we did it. Yeah. And freeze frame with a fist in the air. Yeah, exactly. Like
Straight
there
90s
wasn't-
90s sitcom.
Exactly. Or 80s teen movie. That moment of
When
like,
we make the movie about making the we'll end it that.
we do our version of Shooting Clerks. But yeah, Inside the Out. Hey. But anyway, so don't hold that against me. I'm sorry.
I won't.
So
Because I was thinking it too.
Too late.
that would have been a good title, but the filmmaking special it is. Sorry, it's done.
Anyway.
It's in cement. The thumbnail's made. So I knew I wasn't going to, and I want to step back from it because I want to be more objective with it. In part, I was inhibited about my performance. I'll admit it because I wasn't sure. Also, we were shooting it in 4K, and I thought every pore in my face is going to look like an open manhole, and I don't want to see that. Like I did, that was another thing I did to prepare.
You know what's so fucked up? He's used that. He's said that multiple.
He has.
Have
he
I?
has.
Like,
yes, you have.
You have. Like
And-
I remember.
Well, Daryian liked it.
specifically.
It's new to him. It's new to them.
No, it's still funny. It's still funny.
Okay, good.
It's
A
gross.
polite laugh
It's
would've been great.
gross, but it's funny.
Yeah. Thanks for calling me out, you jerk. But I did, in part of my prep for it was I actually went to Sephora and got some, I did have a light bit of makeup on my face because I was a little inhibited, but also, just tone-wise, because I'm like, all right, well, let's just make sure everything looks clean and clear and, Italian, so those raccoon eyes, dark circles under the eyes. I want to make sure that was a little neutralized. Well, just for consistency, because I'm like, well, this is DIY. We don't have a makeup artist on set, so I did my own makeup. Thankfully, the woman there took me through a tutorial, literally how to apply the makeup. It's just a brush, some whatever, whatever the makeup was. I don't know. A layer of makeup and then like some setting powder. Yeah, exactly. Like I bought 3 things and she was very good about walking me through like how to apply because I told her we're doing this thing on camera. I kind of need to do makeup on my own because we don't have a crew like that. And even to match like my skin tone and everything, like I wanted to make sure I had the right thing. So I want to ask somebody who would know. And this woman, bless her, was extremely helpful. And same even with like hair, because that's the only thing that, not that I would change anything about it, but it's one of the considerations I thought, like, I just look like me. I tried a couple of looks where I like pinned my hair back, where it just looked like I had short hair. So I looked a little less like myself and more like a character. But I said, that's another thing I'm gonna have to worry about in terms of continuity. And I'm also gonna be preoccupied by it in the middle of just like, hey, you can't see my hair tied up, right? And so I didn't want to do it. I tried a couple looks, took some photos. There's a version that could have worked, but I was like, no. But I put so much product in my hair. I had what I call, I had what I call crunchy hair, where I put like this mousse in so it would like stay in place and would not. And you're seeing when I turn my head, it stays still. Like in the outtakes, my hair doesn't move because I wanted to make sure it was consistent for the day. And then I thought, hopefully tomorrow, if we need tomorrow, which we didn't, I can recreate this so it looks okay. But if anything, go ahead.
In retrospect, I think Tom was so happy we didn't need the second day.
He was, because he was able to come in for like the standard 2 hours the next morning, and that's it. But what was fun about the actual shooting of it was like it's the first time I met Nick in person. I just seen Tom kind of like, out in public or whatever, but we hadn't like hung out. But the vibe, we had so much fun. Like it was a very much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
And for all of us though to have such a vibe, and you can see it in the outtakes, which are also available on the YouTube channel.
Oh God.
That it's like we were having so much fun, and like the collective vibe was so good. Like everyone was very much on the same page.
Take 2, these nuts.
It was exactly. Like it was so good. The fact that we, like, in spite of everything that was going on, like you wouldn't know watching the outtakes. That's the movie we were shooting. Like we're shooting something that was funny, but it also had some serious elements to it. Like it was had some depth to it. Because, I mean, that speaks to everybody's professionalism, honestly, and the fact that we were able to pull it off because the outtakes were very silly. And there was a version. If we had a second day, I feel like it would have been, like we would have been goofing off because we got so much done. That if we needed, there was, because there's a version where Ugo and I would have done it as Tony Soprano and Paulie Walnuts or something like that. It would have been unserious. It would have been a waste of resources and everyone's time.
We kept recreating The Dark Knight.
We were playing out scenes of The Dark Knight.
He was, I think you were Batman and I was Commissioner Gordon. Like it's like
no, you kept like get away from my son.
Get away from my son, Harvey.
You kept shouting that, and I was breaking into the joke. Introduce a little anarchy. Like I was breaking into that a couple of like we just stopped. Like, oh right, that's not the movie we're making.
Yeah.
It was actually funny to just pull back for a moment. But that's us between takes. Like,
but what's so
having
dumb
fun.
though is like you were right about like the building of the friendship to make the friendship be compelling on screen.
Yes.
Because like those outtakes are so indicative of that. Like,
but even collectively, the fact that like Tom had a similar sense of humor and was able to kind of go back and forth with us, and Nick, like dudes we hadn't worked with or done anything with, but it just gelled that day. Like that was a real like, it was like this
everybody's
crazy
locked in
recipe.
on the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly, but
Even
like
if
everybody
it's
has a
for a
similar
moment.
sense of humor. Everybody was kind of relaxed about getting it done. Except for the moments where the fire alarm went off and you were losing your shit. But in general, we pulled it off.
Fun of me, but like
no, I completely understand it.
it.
You were expressing what I normally would have. But again, for continuity, I'm like, well, I can't get up from this table. And I can't get, I was like, I can't get ruffled. And even at the end, there's a couple of wide shots where we knew we had it. And I knew I was going to be cutting to close-ups at the end of the film. So we did get a little goofy at the end. And there were a couple of outtakes where we were just kind of being casual. But for just having a couple extra takes, we did a few more. But if anything, because I sat on it, I didn't want to edit it right away. Like I said, I want to have some space. I thought, well, if I don't feel like I got it, the monologue, the camera, and those 2 takes, well, if nothing else, Christian and Nick and I will go back to Red Tank and we'll do that. If I need to do that one day, the 3 of us go in and shoot it. If I feel like I didn't get it right, then okay. Because I felt okay about it, but you don't know because you can, until you watch it back, you can't really judge
to be quite
what
honest,
you
you
have.
can't judge it until like you get a cut.
Yeah.
For sure. And that was another thing too, where I'm like, if it doesn't work, I'll reshoot that. But I felt like we had it. Oh, and one other thing, I forgot this. We met up at Red Tank.
We did.
I think the Thursday before the day we shot.
Yeah, and then we did the scene.
We literally sat at the table because I
we did
remember
the
looking
short.
around. I was just like, "That's the table we're going to use. Let's sit here." I don't think did I have a beer? I know you had a. You're not really a beer drinker. I'm not either. But I think you had one there because Tom was just like, "I have a beer."
Yeah, they were free.
Charge right. Yeah, like Tom was just that cool.
Yeah.
And we used real beer. Oh, that's another
Free
thing.
beer is best beer.
It's
Yeah.
real beer in the same. We don't touch it at all.
Yeah.
Not for any reason, but we just didn't. You know, it just kind of sat there on the table. But that was actual beer because I think I bought a bottle of iced tea or I had some apple
That's
juice,
right.
something
We
just in
poured it,
case.
and it didn't look authentic.
Yeah, so-
you're like, it's not bubbling.
But
Yeah,
we-
Tom was like, "We could use real beer. Like it's fine."
But we ran through. We ran through.
We did. We ran through it. I think twice
Yeah.
in the actual
where
table,
we were actually
in the
sitting,
chairs.
and the second we sat down, I was just like, "Oh yeah, this
This is it.
This is it. This
Yeah,
is 100%."
it was a weird kind of kismet. Maybe is that the right word? But we sat and we were
Yeah.
just like, this is gonna work.
Yeah.
we're gonna do this.
Yeah, and it looked good.
and we
Just
did it.
before we even sat down, I looked at the booth. I was just like, this fits exactly what.
Yeah, just the lighting. There's
Yeah.
kind of a warm tone to it.
Yeah.
In as far as like how everything. I don't know how it looks now. I've been in the new place.
In order to draw that connection, it made my life that much easier to be able to read the script and be like, okay, like here's the beats, you know, especially when your monologue, when we move from, you know, we're very like over the shoulder, not in this, and then we're in your face. You know what I mean? Like really that respect. Yeah, that perspective of just like, or the perspective of being like, okay, I'm looking myself in the mirror. I'm looking Ulysses right in the face. Like I want to know, like
It's personal in nature. It's personal in dialogue, but it's
Yeah.
also personal in how it's shot. Like you
Yeah.
are with these characters.
And the camera's right here.
So now you get to the edit. You've pieced it together.
Yes,
And-
I didn't. The first day I edited was May 20th. I sat down and actually said,
It was that long.
I waited 2 months. Well, I didn't intend to, but my thing was I knew Cape was coming back for 2023 in April. And I heard a great term. I wish I could remember who said it. I think you guys can appreciate this, though. I would love to give credit to the person, but I can't. But I've since adopted this phrase. I heard somebody say, I like to be creatively monogamous. I like working on one thing at a time. And I'm like, that's perfect.
That's
Because
great.
I find
That's
I
great.
work best when I have the one thing in front of me and I'm able to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
So in my
That's
mind,
true, that's
knowing
true.
Cape was going to kick off for 2023 in April, I was like, well, we got to shoot this thing before March so I can then focus on that.
I love
And-
this sentiment, but I feel like I'm creatively monogamous in moments.
No, I get that.
Like,
That's I've had to figure out that's the way I work
Yeah,
best
'cause, like,
is focusing on what's in front of me
we're all
and then completing it.
musicians here. We've all had the I like this song. What's that riff?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a schizophrenia involved in
Yeah,
being
and
creative,
then-
for without a doubt. Yeah, we all have that. You have to rein it in.
You know the
If you want
the
to.
meme where the couple are walking.
Yeah, and the guy
looks
turns
behind,
around.
you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah.
And the meme for this one is the idea you're currently working on. The guy's looking back, brand new idea.
Yeah, exactly. We all do it.
Real quick question: was the score the last thing you added? Did you do the edit and then the music? How
Yes,
How did you do that?
What happened was, I started cutting it together. I sat down that night and reviewed the footage. Like it was the first time I looked at the footage. Was sitting down on May 20th and watching it back. Not only was like, oh, we got it, we captured this thing. That was the first real feeling of like the creative fulfillment of like, oh, we did it. Like I knew logically we did it, but this is my first time actually looking at it, watching all the footage back and making notes. That's in a different notebook. All the notes about which takes, what it is I liked from, the close-ups, the wide, all of that. And just watching it through. But the outtakes were so funny. Like that night, I pieced together that outtakes reel that I sent to you guys. Because I was just watching the proxy files, which are, just lower resolution, but the same exact, video that we shot. And, no sound mix or anything, but I pieced together an outtakes reel because I forgot, like, look how much fun we had. Like, we pulled this thing off and we actually were having fun. Like, what an amazing day that was. And I kind of forgot that I sat down and just did it that night. I was so compelled by the footage. I was just like, I can put together an outtakes reel. I'm going to share it with everybody just because I want everybody to see, because now it's been almost 2 months. Let's have an
Here's
appreciation for it.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like here,
yeah.
you guys can see what's doing with this. But I started piecing it together here and there. I took a break because Cape did one of my all-time top 5 episodes, the waxing special. But that was a chore to edit because it was 3 individual cameras shooting angles.
Oh, I explained.
And it,
Yeah.
oh no, well, I'm saying it to them. I'm not saying it to you. Because basically every 10 minutes of finished footage took an hour. So all in that took about 11 hours to edit. it was a lot. So I would sit and work an hour at a time, and that would result in 10 minutes worth of footage of the final cut that was released. So then to finish editing this 12-minute short film was nothing. And I'm kind of glad I did it that way, because I had to shoot multi-angles, sync up different takes. There's a couple of split screen moments, several split screen moments, obviously, for people getting waxed and a reaction from those of us laughing at the victims. But to go through that mid-grade crucible and then to go finish editing the out, it was so much easier because I'd just done a much bigger project. So I was able to sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to cut this thing together. And you're the only person I sent the first cut to. And it was about 12 minutes. No credits or anything like that. I'd edit down to a 12-minute take. A 12-minute cut. You said, this is good, but there's a better version in there. Like, see if you can tighten it up a little bit. And you were absolutely right. I did another cut, and it flowed a lot better. And
the snappier, the better.
Well, it was, because especially there's a tempo in the conversation, which it was written that way, and we rehearsed it that way. Where like the dialogue's very snappy, back and forth, and then it kind of breathes a little bit. There's a little bit of just gentle conversation, and then it gets funny and snappy again, and then it calms down. And because of that, that was a large part of the reason. I truly don't remember. Was it you or was it me who brought up Daryian? I know you wanted the idea of drums. It was you. Okay. Because you had mentioned drums, and you'd sent me a clip of the TV show New Amsterdam, because they use drums in some of their score.
No,
and I was like,
score.
That's interesting.
But for me, like...
And I was thinking Birdman. I was like, oh yeah, Birdman used all percussion. The entire score was percussion. I'm like, you know, that could be really good.
And that was brilliant.
Oh, it was. Like the way that was, I mean, aside from the way the movie's shot, I was just like, wow, that
That's
really punctuated a lot of what happened.
One of my favorite decisions about that piece. It's like, I saw it, honest to God, I saw it when you sent me the script, and I was like, that's the kind of film this is going to be. And
it made total sense. I didn't see that, and I didn't hear it.
Do you also know why I pulled drums as well?
Why is that?
Timepiece. Have you ever seen Timepiece?
Yes. Oh my God, the Jim Henson short. Yeah.
And that
makes sense.
I was like, that'll work, especially because of the snappier. Timepiece is a short by Jim Henson, who created the Muppets, but it was pre-Muppets. Mm-hmm. And this is him just being an experimental filmmaker, and it's literally just these like psychedelic images that he shot in like the mid '60s, and it's all just to drum percussion beats. And it's awesome. It's like 10 minutes long, but it's
basically animated. The visual transitions go to the rhythm of the music, which is great. Okay. So it works like as a piece of art. It's not a narrative. It's very much like an experimental kind of film, but like it works so well.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's not. It's
not supposed
it's
to.
the '60s. Nothing made sense.
But knowing what that was and how the percussion moved, even the story along, because even if there wasn't one, it implants a thought in your mind. It's like, well, this is giving me
it sets up a dynamic. No, without a doubt. And that's why I was like, that is a good idea, because I didn't know what I wanted to do about the score. And even when I did the cut, I'm watching this thing dry, just the dialogue, and I'm still not sure that I feel like it works, but like I don't know. So there is this cut, and yes, so you had mentioned Daryian. So I reached out to Chris Madd first, who is your co-member of In Serious Matters. No, but I said, because like I knew you, and like we'd met, but I
my agent.
I just want to gauge like
his handler.
In this scenario,
I wanted to gauge like, would he be up for this, or is this something that's like ever come up? Because I didn't want. I mean, I could have approached you cold, but I thought like, well, let me ask somebody who knows better and who's worked with him, like if he's down for that kind of thing. Lo and behold, he said, oh yeah, that's something he's put his attention toward. Like it's something he's definitely been thinking about doing. And funnily enough, we had worked together. Geez, I can't believe it. It's almost 3.5 years ago in my silly promo for the late night. So actually, you got to watch me direct.
Oh my God!
I got to direct Daryian in July of 2021. Yeah, in this stupid thing, which was. It's so funny. After that, I dubbed Serious Matters Silly Nonsense, because I'm like, well, they clearly have this other side to them. And you guys had fun, and that was a lot of fun to do. That was a spontaneous, just like on the day, Chris was like, we got rehearsal tonight. You want to swing by? And then I come in, I'm like, hey guys, I'm not gonna take up much of your time. Just want to shoot this little thing. I had the backing track.
Misnomer for that band. They're not serious people, because we were doing
not at
something really dumb right before that.
Good.
I love
all right,
it.
so I was able to exploit the vibe that was already there. Perfect. So yeah, I actually got to direct,
because it's such chaotic.
It's so it was silly.
It was already chaotic, but there's more videos of like before he walked in the room. So I think only some of that stuff made it up on like our socials. Like one of those videos made it up because like this is just too hilarious.
Yeah. Well, we did
This is the
3
same
takes.
show,
We did
but-
3 takes of this promo, and it was just funny. Like they were just having fun, and I was having fun hamming
Whose
up with
hat
this muscle
flies
shirt.
off?
Chris Mads does,
It is
because he was
Chris.
like headbanging, and he just went with it. And that was the take I used. That was our 3rd take, and that was the one that actually worked. It just looked best, and so yeah, I actually I directed Daryian first. Now that I think, I mean, kind of, sort of, as much as like, can you play this dead simple 4/4 beat, or at least mime it? Thanks.
Got it.
He was literally just hitting the hi hat and the snare, like.
Got it.
I literally can picture that video too because I love the pan over because it goes from the
Yeah, there's a reveal.
it goes from the chaos.
You don't know what we're talking about, right?
No,
I'm gonna send it to you.
I've got to see it. I haven't seen it.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, please
It's
do.
ridiculous.
Please do.
It's on brand, as they say. You're like,
brand.
of course Chris did that. Like even when I published it, people are just like, you're a ridiculous person. I'm like, I know.
My
It's
cheeks
just, but
hurt from smiling.
That's funny.
you forgot all about that.
I did. It was so good.
So anyway, but like aside from like silly stuff like that, and obviously just seeing it at the gigs and whatnot, I was just like, well, let me see if he's into it. Chris said yes. So I reached out and said, hey, I got this thing I want to work on. We're thinking drums. You mind if I send you a cut? You can see kind of what you think. Like I have a rough cut, sound's not mixed, anything like that. It's not color grade, it's rough, but you want to take a look at it. And so
when someone says it's rough, I go,
You're just like, oh God, what are you sending me right now?
what does rough mean?
yeah.
But
It looked like a movie though. I mean, aside from like, it didn't have the polish on it, the visual polish.
It did, but hear me out.
ahead.
Most times when people
Go ahead.
most times when people send me things and they're like, okay, this is like a rough idea of what I have, and like I walk into the thing with no expectations, but it's like, okay, it's a rough. Okay, I'll be able to work through whatever the idea is, because like that's my job. I got to extract what you meant to do.
Yes.
Like.
Yes.
What you mean to say?
Straight
versus what
producer
you're
talk.
telling me.
Straight producer
Right?
talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like
yes,
I gotta
yes.
interpret this, and then I open the file and there's nothing, and I'm like, there might be like piano coming in later, because he told me that he just wanted drums, and I'm like, oh, like I'm last, got it, cool, easy, like bang this out, 1, 2, 3, and send it back, and it'll be whatever. And then like when I open the file, I'm like flabbergasted because I watched the whole thing, which is also why I started laughing, because it's like, huh.
Nothing happens in this fucking movie.
Nothing happening. It's like, this is the
Two
whole
dudes
fucking
sitting,
movie.
talking, and not
Same
drinking beer.
you're like, first off, there's no action.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
like,
Yes.
so we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. We're just talking. And I'm playing the loudest instrument you could
For
find.
14
For
minutes.
14
Yo, we're black.
No, it
we're,
was-
we're black. We're black. We're black. In case you guys didn't see it,
It was 11 minutes.
This-
Actually, that cut was closer to 12. That was a longer
Oh, no,
cut, too.
12 minutes.
Okay,
It was
12.
12
Yours
minutes.
was 12.
Yeah.
I played a halftime show's worth of music by myself. which was interesting, because like as I go through it, and this is why I had to show the engineer, because it's like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like I'm
well,
stuck.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I have references, but those references don't mean a damn thing to
Yeah.
me right now.
I
'cause,
had given
like,
Daryian the 2 reference points of Monsters, Inc., which was like, up-tempo, like jazz.
Why'd you do
And-
that?
Well,
that's
no,
also why that video came out on my Instagram. I had to learn it.
Okay.
Monsters, Inc., and, well, I'm thinking like the tempo, like the up-tempo kind of like
Yeah,
jazz
no,
combo
I
thing,
get it,
which
but
is...
like I would have just sent him New Amsterdam. That's what
Well, but that was only one scene, but I was like, well, he knows enough
the
of
whole
score.
Show. You should
Oh, is it? Okay, see, I didn't know there was a whole show. You sent me one scene, and I'm like, okay, I get why that works.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know that. Okay, well, I mentioned
I'm so sorry. This
I mentioned Monsters, Inc., and I sent him a link to the soundtrack to the film Sideways as well, because that's kind of like a jazz combo thing. It's more kind of mid-tempo,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's kind of during the action. There's a little kind of quiet score, like some keyboard and whatnot under the dialogue. But I said, just an idea for kind of feel that I don't hear something specific in my head, but just an idea of what I'm going for, because I think I had said it to you, like you're kind of, the tempo you're playing is kind of like to the dialogue. Like you're helping to move things along. When it's quiet, you're kind of laying back a little bit. And then when, the tempo, the dialogue's really quick. Then it's just the more upbeat,
I feel so
active
bad
stuff.
right now.
This no. This isn't on you. This is on him. Okay,
No, he's co-producer. He
No,
gets,
like,
he gets some of the share.
Because again, we all know the musical connection. Literally, the easiest thing would have been to do is just to send you to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
See, but you-
or a
And
scene
like-
from Birdman would have worked
you
too.
say that.
Honestly.
The only reason
At least I
why
think
I'm
so.
like, oh my god, you sent him Monsters Inc. is because Monsters Inc. While yes, it is the jazz combo, it's also Randy Newman, and Randy Newman is a composer who goes fucking everywhere with his music.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
you
feel like
listen
that's
to the
That's
score
true.
to Monsters
That's true.
Inc. and
That's
it'll
true.
start real jazzy. Then all of a sudden, when Boo shows up, it's like strings and all this other bullshit, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? What do you?
I
what do you
thought we
mean?
were swinging.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
Like,
walking down the street.
what do you want from me?
I don't understand. What's this movie supposed to be? Nothing happens.
I got
Go ahead.
So you send him our Seinfeld piece,
Our curb,
or
scene.
slash curb scene.
Curb half episode.
Same writers. So
True.
you think about it.
Yeah.
So you send him the Larry David piece that we do, and my thing is when you. I got so many questions. My first one is
Yes, this is where he takes center stage.
so
because-
many. So my thing is, when you talk to your engineer and get a better idea of like what exactly you're supposed to do to tackle this, walk me through that, and also, so there's two parts. So also the second part is, when were you comfortable and when did you feel like you were in a rhythm, like, okay, I know exactly what I want to do here, how I want to tackle this, I'm good with what I'm doing here, and you feel comfortable sending whatever it is that you sent to him?
Yeah, that took a couple days because it was like when I got it, I watched it by myself at home, and then I had to watch it like, because first of all I had to figure out how. Just like this right now, it's like, where do you start? Right? It's like, where's the beginning
Right.
of the thing? Like, there's
what's the beginning beat?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally, it's like staring in my mind is like staring at a blank whiteboard.
Facts.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want, and I'm like,
Fuck.
Yeah.
Shit.
No, it is. Look, we've had that experience where
Yes.
I know you have, where it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
play something. It's like, I can't. Well, like what? You can't.
What?
Yeah. If you
How-
tell me
what?
play a song in G, then it's like, now we got something. Now
Well, like,
I can play something. But giving
brought
a
it-
blank canvas, like, do whatever you want. Like,
so I brought it to the studio, and I'm like, because I'm like,
admittedly,
I
not a great
go-
direction. You
well,
know?
I go through that whole thing of like, well, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna sit down. It's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is like, okay, well, how do you make that happen? Because I have to watch the thing now because I don't have any audible cues,
Right.
unless I sit and watch this thing over and over and over and over and over,
And then
and over
create
over.
them, and then create
Yes.
them.
and then
Yeah.
create cues.
Right.
And I was trying to shortcut it. And so I took it to the studio, and like, so we get to the studio, and I'm like, hey, I need to cut this thing. I need like this much time to figure this out. I don't know what it is. And it's like, what is it? I was like, just watch this. Just watch this. I'm doing a score for a thing. Just watch this.
It's a thing. I don't know what it is.
But then like,
If somehow we ever do a release on like physical media or like, I know shorts, it doesn't happen. I want that to be the DVD quote.
just watch
Like,
this.
You have got
Just watch
You have got to splice this in one of the shorts somehow, some way. But continue,
Well,
please.
well, like,
please.
The
I'm like,
Criterion licenses the Chris Aballo short film collection. And
Well-
we do the individual commentary.
well, part of it is
Isolated
like,
music track.
I say just watch this because like part of it is like, all right, did you watch it? He was like, yeah, I watched it. It's like, so what did you think? It was like, he immediately related to it. It's like, that's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny. It was like, yeah, right. And he was like, you got to put drums on that. I was like, you're not fucking helping. you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Bonds. Shout out to Nick Bonds, because he's the engineer. Because then he was like, all right. Then we watched it again. It was like, well, because like then at that point I had to succumb to like the only answer, which is like there is no shortcut. You have to just watch it and know what's happening. So like there are things that like basically if you had left it uncut, I played to what you guys were saying like
Yes.
the whole time.
Yes.
And like even then, like I played it several times.
Yes. No, I got a 12-minute file and I got a couple of variations on top of it.
Yeah.
Like, he played
Wow.
in real time to the entire
Wow.
thing.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't
and
know-
it
I
was
didn't know
all the way
that. I didn't know
through
that.
several times.
Yeah.
Like, and it was, I did a couple passes through on just like playing drums with just drumsticks, and I did a couple passes through like playing drums with just brushes, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna like really go down the jazz rabbit hole and like just do some bullshit and see what happens. But like when I say bullshit, I mean like, you know, I'm turning snares off. I'm just gonna play sounds.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah,
and
yes,
hit
yes.
things
Yes.
dope.
Yes.
and make it sound like we're falling down, and then like, all right, you know,
Like a drum kit falling down the
yeah,
stairs.
because like as I'm doing
As
this,
two guys are talking and nothing happens.
exactly, and like I've been presented with something like this before, and like I started to get into a groove of just like
Oh,
I could
okay.
just I can just create
Right.
something. Because the last time I did that, it was like for this record, and it is a singer-songwriter thing, and it's always weird doing singer-songwriter stuff playing drums because nothing is straight. It's always like got some weird time signature because
And they're strumming. So
yeah,
like,
they're
you
playing
need to
around
find a way
with
to
the
fit-
words
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's like,
You need to not step on it because you're playing the
Right.
loudest instrument.
and then she's like, "All right, I want you to play drums in this song," and I'm like, and it's just her and
What else you got?
guitar, and then like
yeah.
I figure it out, and the engineers like that at that studio didn't this is a whole different dude. He was not vibing with what I was doing because I was pissing him off because he every time I do another pass, it's another set of like the kit was
Difference.
mic'd up with like 12
shit,
mics or some
okay.
shit. So like by the time I got through with everything I had done, he was like, okay. And he takes me, I go into the control room. I'm like, cool. And he's mixing everything. And he's like, oh, you want to see your tracks? I was like, yeah, sure. So he clicks on this tab on the thing. And it just goes, woof.
Yep. Yep.
It was like-
Yep.
And then he starts to go, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, all of these are yours. All of these are yours. And I'm watching the thing, and it's all color coded too. It's like, so just the, yeah, you've got like 50 something tracks here. I was like,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
of just me. It was like on this one song.
Yes.
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 Of just you
Yes.
on this one fucking song.
Yes. Yes.
So like, but like the song is beautiful because it. I forget what the song is about, but I did save it. It's called The Vines. That's what it's called.
Is it
'Cause-
out?
yeah, is this.
Group chat.
Yeah. I'll send
Yeah,
it to
for
you.
sure.
Sweet.
It's called The Vines. You listen to it. Is the artist is Danielle Stewart. And she's a singer songwriter. She doesn't even do music anymore. But like, but that song is like, no, yeah, I did that. I
me.
play
Yeah.
percussion.
Nice,
Right?
nice.
I'm a musician.
You know
I don't just play drums. When I was sitting there, is like I gotta really like push myself out of it. So like even when it came down to like, okay, the engineers like now we're on the same page of like what the project is that's before me, and I'm like, now you're in because now you're part of it.
Now
Now you get it.
Right.
Now you
Now
get it.
you get it, and
Right,
you're the only
right.
one because it was just me and him. So like you're the only other
We're
person
sharing
that
a
I
brain
could
cell
bounce.
right now.
Yeah.
I don't,
Facts,
and
facts.
also for all of y'all, this was all like remote. Like you weren't there in the room.
No, I
Yeah.
literally just like go ahead. And which probably not the best direction again to be like gave you a couple references, but like go put some rhythm to this conversation. But
That's on brand.
Having said that,
that's on brand.
hey, well, I don't like to. I will say I don't like to
In
micromanage
his-
though.
In his
Like
defense, because there's sometimes it's especially because how I operate with my composer, it's mostly remote. Like I know we'll have discussions and I'll give him references, but sometimes there are some musicians who do not like that space.
Yeah.
invaded
No, you're right.
During that process.
Oh, you're right.
So while
Right.
yes, maybe an appearance would have maybe assisted in some way, but at the same time, we're probably then going to get a different piece.
Oh, for
You would've
sure.
got a different
Yeah.
performance.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was
100%.
there and
Yeah.
giving some input or like, oh, I like that, I don't like that, and blah, blah. Especially because he gave you so many variations, which when you sent how did you feel about it when you were done? It was all done and you sent me the track.
We
Yeah.
chopped it all up.
I did, but like as far as your performance,
No.
what- oh, you guys did.
Before we sent it to you.
Oh, that was your chopped up.
Yeah.
Ah,
so
okay.
so when I was doing it, I was like, okay, now I gotta comp the thing because I just gave the engineer a shit ton of work to do. Because the same
true.
thing I did for that other song, I was just like, this is just the easiest way to do it.
Right.
But to minimize the work, we changed like the microphone setup, which made me play different, especially when we're doing like jazz stuff. He was like, I think you should still mic the full kit. And I'm like, well, if I'm playing jazz and they're I've been in that room. I know what it sounds like in there. That room sounds like
smart.
shit.
So fucking cool.
That's
so
it.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Sounds like shit.
that's good.
That's an angle
That's
somebody
good
else
to
wouldn't have
know.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, now I'm gonna play the way I would play in that room
it
because the
does
room
sound
I'm
like
in doesn't
shit.
sound like that.
Yeah.
And
We could have
then-
panned the camera over, and you're sitting on a kit. Like,
Yeah, right.
Honestly, it
I could be
wouldn't.
sitting on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Or the booth next door.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Or you're outside on the street. You're on,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
not Broad Street. I forget the street. That
But,
is on.
like-
but
You
yeah.
timing with the fire alarm. Fuck you.
Because there's that one quick moment in Birdman where Michael Keaton's walking up the street and there's the dude on the street actually playing the drums. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we could have had that moment, but nothing happens. So we couldn't do it.
I mean, but that's
movie.
what it
Yeah.
took to get to that point of just like, okay, now I have the pieces, because like just how you had to like go through and edit the pieces,
Right.
like I wound up going through and like, okay, I think these pieces work for this section.
You were creating an arc for the music. in
Yeah,
the way
like,
that
I
this,
could see
like
it
crafting the story had an arc.
going this way, and like I really had to go to like a childish place with this because it's like it's like
I'm loving
me
this.
as a kid
I'm
is
fucking loving
Yeah.
this.
me as a kid is like, you know, I want to play a drum solo, you know, and just
Right.
have people listen to that, and like that's when you get into jazz and you're like, oh, I could just play drums, and like people will come up and listen, and now it's like, oh, people are listening now. Oh shit.
Well, now what am I going to do? Like,
Okay, let me make this count because I might not do this again.
No, when I met you at the premiere, because that's the first time I met you.
Yeah.
Was at the premiere. First of all, I hugged you. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we bumped each other outside first,
Yep.
and then back inside when everybody's taking pictures, and I was just like, bro, like your score, like it matched, like it matched the tone, it matched what we were saying, the energy, it matched. No other form of music would have worked.
Oh, no, without a doubt. Because I was thinking
with this movie,
piano or
Other than that.
saxophone would have been too romantic. Like
Yeah.
that was not the tone of
No.
what was going
Piano
on. Or
would
something.
have been too light. Saxophone is a completely different vibe.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
To
So-
be quite honest, I think that this might have been like the only path for
Maybe-
like,
maybe-
I don't know what other thing.
Maybe a bass guitar.
Maybe.
It's something like
May-
that. Like I thought about
maybe.
that, but I wasn't.
Cause like even when I
It'd be an
watched it,
But I wasn't sure.
yeah, it would be an upright. Cause like
Yeah.
when I watched it, I was like, this is funny enough to work, to carry it through. But
Yes.
I've got to make some conscious decisions to like when to make changes and
Yes.
be
Right.
like very sensitive to like, oh, this is slowing down now. So like, I had to really dig deep into some backs, man. It's
Yeah.
like in the beginning, it's like straight up like the way I approached it was like, okay, this section is like bebop. This section is just straight up swing.
Oh,
This
that's
is a
fire.
ballad.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking fire,
what-
bro.
but
Speaking
despite-
my language right now,
Despite my
man.
lack of direction, but like he understood the assignment because
100%.
he delivered. I get these tracks, and you know at this point I've done. I don't think I did another cut. I think I did another cut
I think you did a
once we had
polish.
the score. I think I just tightened it up in a couple of spots because I wanted the music to suit it. But literally, I sat back. I just sat at my desk where I was editing the film. You sent me the file. I sat back, pressed play. I'm listening, and I'm listening, just to hear what you did. So I'm like, where am I going to play? I mean, the first thing you sent me, the beginning of the piece you sent is the beginning of the movie. It's the intro.
Yep.
That hi-hat
Yep.
is what kicks off the movie. And even that, I was like, we're going to get black screen. We're going to get the hi-hat. And when the tempo kicks in, that's going to be the first card. Like, I knew
was
right
perfect.
off the bat.
That was
I'm like,
perfect.
that helped
That was-
kind of
that
set
was
the tone.
perfect.
It set the tempo for the opening. No, it set the tempo for
Perfect.
the opening credits.
Perfect.
That little pause after that tom hit. And then we cut to the scene. I was like, oh, he set the tempo for this. And no, literally, like once the music's there, I was like, oh, we got a film. We got a movie.
that intro set the tone.
That it literally.
It set
I'm
the
watching
tone
it, and
for
I've been
everything.
I've spent 2 months editing this. I mean, on and off, but still, like at this point, I'm looking at it and just saying, okay, I know exactly how this plays out. And everything you sent me, I was able to. I used most of it. I think it was about 80% of what you said, because there were a couple of moments I wanted silence for impact, and there were a couple of gaps in between, and like what you sent me, you left some space in between, but I'm taking fragments of it and I'm kind of lining it up to fit. And the only thing, and I don't know if you could tell, I mean, it sounds literally like it was grueling. You put this thing together, you're like, I never had to dig deeper in my life. I thought this guy just wanted me to mime to 4/4 again. This was so much harder than the last time he asked for a favor. But there was leading up to Gives the Out for a second time. What'd you say before that? The drum roll. I did have to extend the hi-hat hits a little bit to fit the tempo of the scene, just because it came up just a little short. And I'm like, I can't edit around this. So I did have to extend it. Literally just had to add like a bar of hi-hat just so it would sync up. And it worked perfectly. And even as it played, I knew exactly the tom hit after she punched me.
Yep.
Yeah,
We had a crew screening,
yeah.
got such a laugh from these two and Nick that literally we just stopped the movie and they had to collect
my
themselves
God.
and we had to run it back.
Nah, that drum
I
roll.
burst out laughing because I knew I sat back and listened to it and I hear the tom hit and I'm like, well, I know exactly what he meant that for, like that moment, and you did.
Yep.
And I even listening to the playthrough, it was just like, this works for every bit, because again, when the tempo of the conversations, quick back and forth, the tempo's up on the drums. When it's more relaxed, it's kind of more, a relaxed tempo for the drums. And I'm like, this works completely. So that was literally the point where I'm like, oh, we got a film. Now we have a film, because now it's not just, because without that, it's a play.
What's really interesting too is that the drums also help paint the picture of what those outside scenes could have looked like. I don't know if you ever picked up on that, but I listen to this when it's all done, and it's like when they're talking about like, oh, she went here, we're doing this, we're walking through New York, and like the drums completely transport you for a second.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, I do see them walking in New York. Like I don't need the actual visual, but somehow the drum is telling.
Yeah, the easygoing tempo and everything. It's like you're like, we're talking about work, the ups and downs of that. Like you got this kind of like easy, more laid back tempo.
It's so cool.
It really, really worked, and it was great to have that. That's again another piece to play with, another performance piece of like, oh, I can put this in and have it fit the scene.
It's like
fit the moment of the conversation.
It's like the drums are like the narrator, like low key.
That's true.
Storyteller.
Yes, that's
it does.
yeah.
Because Christian even talked about, if you thought about doing a shot and then like we cut to like flashback, like black and white, like shoot you and this woman out, and I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like we're setting the scene with the dialogue and we don't need that. I was like, I feel like the audience can just picture what's going on. Well, that was just an idea.
Yeah, what I had told you was like, hey, put the
we
film
didn't get into
together.
fisticuffs over it.
No, not yet. But no. What I had told you
now
was
he's
like,
finally settled into my
I produced the damn thing. I didn't believe it. I believed from it.
Mom and Dad, stop yelling.
Ladies, you're both pretty. Okay.
So, but no, I had said just in case, because like you never know. Like sometimes you could put a film together and then be like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
And listen, any artist has experienced that before.
Totally.
And basically that was just me telling you, like, I'm down for the ride.
And my deadline was July 21st, because that was the last day for the submission for Montclair Film Festival, which has become it may be the biggest festival in New Jersey. Aside from the fact I live near Montclair, it at that time I think was 13 years running. I think it probably is the biggest. It has become a big deal annually.
I think it's
and I wanted
Garden State, but it's coming up.
I think it's bigger because they do events at like the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Red Bell. Like Garden State is fine, but they don't have Stephen Colbert hosting events.
No, but at the same time,
so they don't have Scorsese rolling in at Garden State Film Festival. And no disrespect, I'm just saying I feel like Montclair, there's a procedure. And granted, Stephen Colbert's wife is heavily involved in that community, so that's a reason why he's
cheating.
part of it. No, not at all. I mean, who among us wouldn't? It's just like, all right, I'll help you out. I got a public profile, help sell some tickets. But that was my deadline for it, and that was a little bit. So there was almost an element of being up against the clock a little bit too, because I'm like, yes, can you get these to me by like Wednesday?
Yeah.
Because I was sending it off for the sound mix because I need the sound mix back on Friday. Now the funny part is, I get the tracks from Daryian. I'm like, oh, this is great, and I was like, dude, this is excellent. And that was immediately. I was just like, dude, I love this. This works so incredibly well. I probably didn't verbalize it enough because at that point I'm like, I got to get this thing done in 2 days. But for my self-imposed deadline, mind you, because I was like, I want to make it in this festival. Because for me, I was like, oh, that would be a great place to have the premiere because it's a bigger festival. But I sent to Nick to Color Grade, excuse me, and David, who did our sound design. I sent him the mix because now we had the score. Because I was waiting on score tracks. I'd sent him everything else, and he was trying. It took a lot of work for him to offset. There was still a hum from the brewery equipment in some scenes or some takes that he had to neutralize. And that did take a little extra work. So he needed the extra time anyway. But then I was able to send him the score tracks as well, synced up with in a project file in Premiere to send him where I'd placed them. And he was able to do an overall. He was able to do a mix, theatrical mix, and also a YouTube mix. So obviously the theatrical mix is what played in festivals, and YouTube mix is what people have watched down below.
Surround?
Stereo.
Okay.
Because it's also only there's only 3 sounds: my voice, his voice, and drums. So we didn't need like an Atmos mix.
No.
It just kind of didn't need it. But that was the first time I was able to step back and say, all right, well, nothing I could do about it now. And I went, 2 friends of mine and I went down to Wildwood. We spent the day down there in a hotel that night right on the boardwalk, and then the next day went to Ocean City on the way headed back north. And it was the first time I was able to step back to be like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it now. When I get it back, it should, in theory, be the finished film because I've done the cut of it. And now I've added the score. Yeah. And I was like, it's literally going to be locked, and then I'm going to submit it. Now, you can't submit it as a work in progress to film festivals. And I was going to do that, but I thought I could George Lucas this thing and continue going back and like fixing and fixing and fixing. And I didn't want to do that because I said, let me get it done. I feel like we have it. And the final piece of the puzzle has fallen into place. So I said, yeah, I'm going to send it off. And I get it back, and I sat and watched it, and I'm like, let me watch that again. And just to make sure, like, I kind of drank it in as opposed to just, arbitrarily uploading it to Film Freeway and then just, like, submitting it to film festivals. I want to make sure, like, let's see how this plays. And then I uploaded it to my YouTube channel. I was like, let me watch it on the TV. And I went and watched it on the TV after watching it twice on the computer. And I'm like, wow, we got a movie. This is crazy. And then that was it. It went off to Montclair. And thankfully, now we didn't get accepted to the Montclair Film Festival. We'll move on to the film festival thing. But I'm still grateful that deadline was there because it would have been very easy to just sit on it and just be like, there's no deadline. We're doing this on our own. Let me
whether
do a self-imposed
or just in general.
Contractually obligated.
It helps, dude.
Yeah.
It does. And that's why having that as a reference point was like, oh, that's when I need to get this thing done.
I think that's like
definitively
where creativity is born. Is like when you really squeeze creative people and put them in a box. Is like,
pressure has to be applied.
Yeah,
to actually get it done because
Absolutely.
we will go back and we'll tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. It'd be very, very easy
because it don't need to be perfect, but it's like, no, this needs to be done now. So
yes,
do your
exactly.
best now.
Exactly.
No, and you did, and at the same time, like I said, you understood the assignment because you nailed.
There's a quote that I've
score.
told you that I think you've since subscribed to, and it is, and I love this quote. Art is not complete. Art is abandoned.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
It's
like,
on them.
Yeah, like because there is truth that I could go back.
I felt that. I felt that.
Yeah,
I felt
right.
that.
Yeah.
Not just that, to buoy off of that. I think it was when you came on my show, or like, I'm pretty sure it was one of the times. You've been on my show a billion times, but I think I forgot who said it. Probably was Kanye. Probably was. He was like, once you release art, you release it. It's not yours anymore.
It's not yours anymore. Yeah,
it's not yours anymore.
To the public.
Yeah, I think we've
talked about that.
We talked about that, and I was like, once you, that's why I was even hesitant. You wanted to show me the final cut. A few times I was like,
nope.
I was like, no. I was like, I feel like you want me to see it, but you don't want me to see it yet. I was like, I'm gonna watch it when you want me to watch it.
Yes.
When you're ready to
finally.
Yeah, when you're ready when you're ready to show it to me, and you can be, obviously I know you wanted to watch it with me on top of that.
Well,
At least that's what I felt like.
I could send it to you, but like I feel like we should sit and watch it because we worked on it, rehearsed it, and worked so hard, and we were proud of it from a performance standpoint.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted your reaction because selfishly, I'm just like, he's gonna blow his fucking mind when he sees how this thing came together. Like really, I'm like, not only does it look, I mean, it looks like a movie. It doesn't look like something shot. I mean, you can't say like shot on an iPhone or something because they look amazing.
Because it's a movie.
But yeah, it's a movie.
literally a
It
movie,
looks
yeah.
and sounds and feels like a movie. It doesn't seem like something that was shot in a day by 4 people. It just doesn't.
Watching it was here?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It was.
That night. Literally
it
that
was
night.
September 19th.
He's not kidding. That laugh from that drum hit
Yeah.
lasted
No,
an absurdly long
yeah,
time.
they had to recover, and they'd be like, "Run it back again."
I was like, you gotta roll that back.
Run it back again. And it was, but it was it moved along so well, and you had seen it again, a rough cut a couple of times. I didn't send it to you with the sound mix.
No, but
And-
at the same time, I was also in post for Just Desserts at the same time.
Right. So I also wasn't trying to lean on you too hard. I sent it to a couple people for some feedback. And the feedback part is interesting because, I mean, look, art is subjective. Everybody has an opinion, okay? There are no objective opinion when it comes to art. And the feedback I got was literally everybody who had something to say, literally everybody who said something to me about it had something different to say. There are people who said about my part, you probably should have gotten another actor to play that part. Like they weren't crazy about my performance. There are some people who said, "Oh, you were good, but you could have cast like your scene partner wasn't as strong as a performer." There's people who are critical of Ugo. There's some people who are critical about the way he was shot. There's one person said you should cut this down to 10 minutes, and I'm like, I have to lose something. Yeah, I'm like, for what? Like just to say it's 10 minutes? Like it's 11 minutes. It's just under 12 with credits. But I'm like, to cut 2 minutes? That's a lot. You're asking me to literally, like that's cutting I cut a minute out from the first cut. That's 8%, cutting a minute out of 12 minutes. Like that is a bit.
Sometimes people pushing for these shorter and shorter edits, like sometimes you end up butchering.
I mean, I've heard anecdotally that your short will more likely to get programmed if it's under 10 minutes. But I'm like, well, I'm not trying to get it programmed. I actually want it to be good.
I pushed that towards you too because it was something that I had experienced with the final cut of Just Desserts because it ended up being so long that I was like that was an issue I was running into. Like even though people enjoyed it, like it was struggling to get into festivals because it was just
the length. Yeah, and our friends had that with their short. Theirs was 17 and a half minutes. And
I didn't want you to experience that because I was like, it's rough because it makes you feel like, did I do something wrong? No, it's just how these shits are programmed.
Well, I also didn't expect it. When I was editing, I realized it was going to be that long because, again, when I was performing it on my own, and even when Ugo and I ran through it a couple of times, I thought, this thing's going to be like 9 minutes. That's fine. Maybe 10 with credits. But the way ultimately, the way it came down was, it was just under 12 minutes. I think it's 11:57 or something like that. Literally, the film itself is 11 minutes, 11 seconds. And even that I took as like a thing of just, okay. It's, not to be all astrology or angel numbery or whatever, but I saw like it's 11:11. Like, all right, I got it. And I was happy with it. So all the more reason I thought,
and the final
I don't
script,
need to tweak
the
it.
final script, when we got to it by the 3rd or 4th, I forget what number.
The shooting draft was the 9th draft.
But I'm talking about the rehearsal. The rehearsal.
Yes, when we were getting together to rehearse.
Yeah, by the 4th or 5th rehearsal, we finally got to the okay, this is the script. This is what getting to that process of just taking stuff out, switching stuff out, taking input. He's like, oh, how about this? How about this? When we finally got to what you guys saw in the actual film, I remembered while watching it, probably the first or second time watching, I'm just like, it took a lot to get there.
Yeah,
it was not just the performance, but I'm thinking of the words. We
had to work it and make sure that it played well. And look, again, I'm big on rehearsal. I like it. And a lot of films suffer from the fact they don't have rehearsal. People don't even meet until they show up on set together.
Right.
I want to sit down with you guys and watch it because you hadn't seen it. The three of you had not seen you hadn't seen anything.
Yeah, I hadn't seen
You
anything.
saw a rough cut.
Yeah.
Nick had seen a rough cut, but nobody had seen the finished version. So we met up here September 19th, 2023. We put it up on this TV. And even that, seeing it all put together, again, Christian's seen 2 cuts at that point. You hadn't seen it at all. Mm-hmm. We talked about the time, but your first reaction to seeing everything together.
I was so blown away.
You were actually speechless.
I was speechless.
You were.
I didn't recognize myself.
Yeah.
I was just. To me, it was like I was. This is exactly what I said.
Honestly,
I
didn't recognize.
I did not.
Yeah, he was in character.
You know what's funny? These are the exact glasses I wore for the out.
Really?
Yes. These are one of my favorite pairs. And I remember I was sitting there watching the first time with Nick and with Christian and with yourself, and I'm just like, it was so professional.
Yeah.
Like, that's the vibe I got. It was like from the cuts to the lighting to the score. I kept thinking of the score too, and I was really excited to meet you and to get your take on it because it was just like it just matched. It matched. It was just like, yo, we're having this conversation. And that's when I think I made that comment. I believe I made the comment. I was just like, the action is in the dialogue and the action is in the score. That's where all the action is. It has to be there because it's like,
that's where it all happens.
Right. We're not getting up and swinging on each other. There's not a girl coming through sliding on a pole or whatever. Like, no, like it's.
We're
like,
not having this discussion on a golf course.
Exactly.
You know?
We're sitting at a bar, two friends talking about some deep shit.
Yeah.
But all the action comes from what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what we're what we're saying, and like that's why I was so blown away from it. Not from I was just such a great, amazing actor. It was just like, yo, the art is what silenced me. I was just like, this was wow.
But you realize like you're part of that. And I know that I know you have to remove yourself
from arm's length. Yeah, he
like,
knows.
As someone who watched you on the day and then in the final cut, like. You really did good. Because again, hadn't worked with you, hadn't really known you, and then got to know you over the course of making it, doing the cape stuff, and just
and the Zoom rehearsal's not representative of what the actual vibe was when we were in person. We knew that, but that's all he had to go on. So to see us play it out over and over again all day in person,
and that's only one aspect of it because I've always subscribed to the theory that you make a film really 4 times. You make one film 4 times.
Yes.
You write it, that's one film. You shoot it, it's another film. Then you edit it, it's a whole other movie. And then, honestly, you score it, it's a whole other fucking thing.
Wow. See, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Because you're making the movie 4 times. Every single time is a new element either being added to it that'll also tweak it in the long run.
Yeah.
Like even you talking about how you added just a bar of extra drums.
Yeah.
Like it's still making it. So that's why I love the process so much.
Yeah, the evolution of it is.
You may visualize it one way, but then by the time you get to the end and you look back at it and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, where did it... It wasn't on the page, but it's here.
But it's all there. And honestly, that's what I thought just watching it back and thinking just like, wow, we did it all came together, this alchemy of these different elements from performance,
so many moving parts,
and even the way that it came out, and I think it worked in our favor. The fact that it ended up being a crew of 4 people.
Yeah.
I think because how intimately it plays, how we're focused on these 2 characters, I think it worked better that way. I feel like a production team of 6 people, it would have felt bigger than it had to be. Now, maybe that's me projecting on it because I would have been there to see the actual production part of it, and I wouldn't be able to watch it and see it for what it is, but I think it played better because we were just sitting, it was, including Tom, let's say 5 people, because he was nearby, off camera, and watching and reacting to it too, because he'd never read it, so he's seeing what we're talking about. And the dialogue resonated with him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
100%.
But it hit.
100%.
He even said that to me like
100%.
that day. He's like, wow, that particularly the I know my side of the street needs cleaning. Like he told me that line really like he felt that. Yeah. And moments like that where I'm like, okay, good, this is resonating. And even that's something that you can't expect either, especially for me telling a personal story because, there was when I was recording the ending song, the outro music, the music plays over the credits. It was Salud. I forgot. I gave it a name because we literally toast our glasses.
Oh, okay.
It's in the credits. I just momentarily forgot because I've been playing the solo for 19 years. But another guitar player had come in from another band who recorded Red Bank rehearsal, and someone had come in early for his rehearsal. And Chris Mad was watching again the rough cut back, and this guy walks in who we didn't know, and he looks at me and he's looking at the monitor, and he said, why am I watching you talk about something I'm going through right now? Like even that was like, oh shit.
Wow.
Like that's, this hit a nerve. Mm-hmm. And that's something I didn't expect because, from personal story, like you don't know if it's necessarily going to resonate. And even getting the feedback from Daryian, like, no, actually, I get this a lot. This makes sense. And having talked to U-Go about it and worked through, it's just like, no, I've had versions of this conversation with different friends.
Yeah.
Mostly on the side of the Ulysses character, but
I love
like,
that
setup.
I don't
know. Yeah, like that.
That's a cool setup for something. Sorry.
Wow. Look at you.
That's a cool setup though because I love the idea of like because you don't know who this guy is.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know.
Love the idea that this unknown person, like, who could be going through fucking anything, walks in, sees
a dude in
and
his
is just
20s
like,
who's
what?
like,
Yeah.
And like you could then like whether or not you choose to or do it anyway, like you could then imagine what's going on. Like I love the thought process.
Yeah,
of that. Like that's so fucking cool.
that just blew me away in the moment of like, oh wow, okay. I didn't, because you don't know, you don't know how people are going to react to anything you do until you put it out there. Anything creative is,
Look, I know
you can't see it for what it is.
Look, I know we're going to talk about festivals and all that type of stuff, but at the end of the day, like that to me is the ultimate sign of like success.
Yeah.
It is. Forget the awards, forget that stuff. Like, and you did end up winning a few for the out, and deservedly so. But at the same time, the reward for me as a producer was like hearing, oh my god, I got through this. I know this. I understand that. Which is when you said the engineer story. I was like,
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, you can't be
Ghostbusters. We got one.
You can't be a musician and not understand. Like it's still a process.
Nope.
It's still a process. Like you can't skip steps. Like you thought. Like
Yeah,
I got this. Yeah.
Phone it in. Whatever. Yeah, I got it.
do you want to like compose more like after that experience, or was that like your first time?
He's like, nope, nightmare, never again.
Well, no, I'd do it again. But like that was also part of it, because it was like Serious Matters had literally just got a song placed, and I was like, oh, well,
Was it Clerks?
I might, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Like,
They just
he
he had a song in Clerks 3 already. Can you believe this? Yeah.
Love it.
So
He wasn't even born when Clerks came out, but
well, like
whatever.
that's the thing. It was like,
Mind your business.
well,
Shut
right. So it's like, well, if I could do that, like, can I?
Yeah.
Whatever. Chris asked me, and I was like, well, sure, yeah, why not? Just play jazz. Yeah, well, I don't do that every day. Sure, why not? Just do it. Right. And now it's like this, and it's like, oh, cool. I got like 2 movie credits now, so like I could do this.
Yeah,
it's not bad. I don't really have to go anywhere.
And like, hey, let this be the worst experience you have in being asked to score something. Like, I don't know what he wants. He kind of told me, but not really. So if anything, you're like, oh, if I can get through this, I can get through. This is the work of it. Like, and it is. This is doing the job. This is what it looks like, feels like.
To go ahead a little bit,
sure.
Like when we showed it to the like other festivals and like watching those films and hearing what they had, but also like. You look at some of you go, okay, cool, I've heard that before, and then like our thing comes up and it's like that's very different, and the whole tone of the room just changed.
Yeah. Facts.
Facts.
Cool.
Big
facts.
In the look and in the sound and everything.
That was dope at Spa Castle too.
Yeah.
I do remember that shift.
I remember that.
Was cool. I'm so glad you pointed that out.
So,
I remember at Smile Castle. I definitely remember it at
Brightside.
Yes. Brightside.
Yeah.
Definitely remember it.
So
Brightside,
definitely.
There was a lot, and all of a sudden this kind of up-tempo comedy comes on.
Yes.
There was a heavier one in our block like later. That was a half hour.
Yeah.
It was incredibly well done, beautiful looking, but it was very heavy.
It's like they were dope movies, but they were just like the out is where
they weren't themed. I know. Well, that's so to get to the film festival part. So all in, we submitted to 28 festivals. We were accepted for 2 of those. Now, people have a reaction when I say that because they're like, ugh. And I'm like, here's the thing. Nobody understands how crowded the film festival circuit is right now. There's not a lot of mainstream stuff being made. For one, ever since the actors and writers strikes resolved in fall of 2023, there hasn't been as much, let's say, mainstream work. There aren't as many TV shows being produced, aren't as many movies being produced as there were. So a lot of people, but people are doing stuff on their own. Either they're doing their passion projects now, or they're doing it just to build a filmography or get experience. So that is packed when it comes to it. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of reference points. No, because this is important, because people don't have the context of it. So the Atlanta Film Festival, which I submitted to, which we were not selected for, 6,000 entries. 142 selections.
Oh shit!
Wow.
All right.
Honestly,
the Sundance Film Festival.
The game is rigged.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other thing. I submitted to big festivals too, but like the Sundance Film Festival, I looked at that as, this is me throwing money away in a lottery ticket. Like, let's try it. Probably not going to happen because it's probably the biggest film festival in the world. Certainly one of them. There's TIFF, there's Tribeca, and then, there's Sundance. As far as like a household name film festival, they had a record 17,435 submissions. They put this in their email to say we weren't selected, but I'm sure they also wanted to reinforce like there's a lot out there, and they had approximately 150 selections.
God damn.
That's how difficult it is. Look, Smodcastle we got accepted to. They had over 2,500, and they selected 100. We were among the 4% that got selected. That's a smaller percentage than admissions to Harvard every year.
Yeah.
It's super competitive. So the idea we got into 2, I'm proud of. First of all, the fact that anything gets made, and we all talked about this, the fact that your project gets made is a win. Period. You did it.
Yeah.
So many people talk about the stuff they're going to do, the film they're going to make, the album they're going to record and release, whatever creative thing they're going to do, the pilot, that they're going to, even people just writing a script. So many people talk about like, I got an idea for a movie that I'm going to write one of these days. I got an idea for a book, and people don't do it. Just the fact that it's made is a win. Any festival selections were icing on the cake as far as we were concerned. Any awards were just like extra layer of icing or like whipped cream on top. Like that was completely unexpected. So we were all proud of the result. And again, I was happy that you guys genuinely all wanted to be part of the project, like genuinely liked the script and thought this is going to be a solid movie, and that you were proud to have your names on the finished film.
Yeah.
So Smodcastle's the first one we hear back from, and that's surprising just because we got accepted for the first one. So it didn't set an unrealistic expectation for me, but it was shocking. I actually got that email on 9/11.
Wow.
Listen, it was 2020.
Wow.
It was 2023
Talk
though.
about timing.
But I just remember receiving the date. Yeah, it was in advance. It was a couple days before the notification date. Because when you submit, Film Freeway is the big website that you submit through for film festivals. Yeah. And when you submit, there's a notification date set up. There's deadlines and whatnot when it comes to when you can submit, as I mentioned before.
Not many hit those deadlines.
No, well, and that's the thing, and that's frankly a piece of advice that people ask me about as well. Like, excuse me, I suggest if you miss the regular deadline, skip it or submit next year, because there's so few, as I just laid out, there's so few selections compared to submissions. By the regular deadline, they already have a baseline of the movies that are getting selected. So if you're doing the late deadline, you have an even smaller chance of getting in because they've already gone through a ton. They've made a lot of selections already, and there are fewer slots left. Mm-hmm. So the competition is so much more tight. So you don't want to have to deal with that. And at that point, you're just making a donation to the film festival, honestly, because they all send out emails for like, still time for our late deadline, half off submission fee. So you can submit for $20, but it's just making a $20 donation to the film festival. So I don't recommend anybody submit beyond the regular deadline. Get in for the early bird, get in for the regular deadline, because anything after that, you face steeper competition than you're already facing. So why make it harder on yourself, and why flush money away? Again, 28 film festivals, an average of $40 per submission. A lot of money.
And mind you, this is just also your experience. Like this is not like gospel. This whole game
for sure
is literally
it's really
fucked.
Really difficult. Yeah. And even the film festivals that are out there, and you and I talked about this a bit when it came to our submissions. There are film festivals that basically advertise themselves. Their brand is like, listen, we are for artists by artists.
Yeah, we're filmmaker friendly.
Exactly.
We know where you started.
we're not like the big festivals that you've heard of. We're not like this.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I'm not calling out anybody by name.
No, I will.
I know you will.
Me off.
That
one personally bothered me because that
my experience or yours?
Your experience personally fucking bothered me.
I'm gonna edit it out just so you guys know, because I don't think I discussed it with you guys. But it's really frustrating when you purport yourself to be, it's, for artists by artists. We're the alternative to the big festivals, and like you want to submit with us because we know, we get where you come from. We started in the same place you did. Blah 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 blah. On the notification day, I don't wake up to an email that day, but on my Google homepage at noon, there's an article in Variety. Here's the ABC Film Festival's 2024 lineup. And I'm like, okay, so I'm clicking on the article, going to the Variety website, and rather than scrolling through it, I'm just finding page, the out, not in there. Okay, well, whatever. It's the day it's the notification date. I'm sure I'll get an email tonight. That's Monday morning, no email. Tuesday, no email. Wednesday night, thank you so much for submitting to our festival. At that point, I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't want to hear it from you. Like, you're putting yourself out there as like this cool alternative to the big festivals, the household name.
Yeah.
And but meanwhile, you're going to Variety to announce before even letting the filmmakers know. Like, you were literally the opposite of what. And look, there were a lot of film festivals I submitted to who are now, there's a shit list because they don't even give you the, it's a standard form email.
Watch. Like that
I'm sure.
is a thing that happens too.
But there are a lot that just change your status to not selected and don't send you an email about it. You literally get just an automated email from Film Freeway. Your status was changed to not selected. Yeah. And that's it. Some of them it's probably a forum email. Unfortunately, we don't get to feature all of the great works that are submitted to our festival every year. It was a hard decision, but the out has not been selected for this year's and that's fine. And some of them are much more candid. Actually, the last one I got, which was a rejection from a film festival in New York, actually said, "We know you hate receiving these emails. We hate writing them. We really wanted to play your film, blah, 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 blah." It listed blah, blah, blah in the email, and I thought that was great. So I was like, okay, I'll submit to them again because that's awesome. Some of them send you waiver codes for next time. There's actually a short film festival that was in, I don't want to say where because I want them to keep doing it, but they actually sent a waiver code because we didn't get accepted for 2023 here. You could submit any project free of charge to our 2024 festival. So I submitted the out again and didn't get selected again, but they sent me a waiver code for 2025. And I'm like, okay, cool, keep it up. Like, that's fine. There are a lot of them that did that, and I appreciate that. But the ones that don't bother to give a response, I had a festival DM me, another festival in New York City. This was over the summer. I just submitted them a few days before. They reached out to my personal Instagram. "Hey, Chris, we saw your clips from the out. We would love for it to be submitted to ABC Film Festival that's happening in November," and blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Thank you very much. I actually just submitted the other day. It would be great because this festival will be our New York City premiere. So we would love to be part of it. Look forward to the possibility of being featured, blah, 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 blah." They're one of the festivals that did not send a rejection email, just got the automated email. Your status was changed. Your judging status was changed to not selected. So I'm like, wow, you have a social media team who's actually reaching out to people, but you don't have somebody who can just write an email and say, "Unfortunately, you haven't been selected for this year's program, but we thank you very much for submitting." Like, it's actually shocking.
Do you know why I get so heated, though?
Go ahead.
It is literally because a lot of these festivals, especially to newer filmmakers, and I know that, as you said, you've made like the comedy skits and all the type of stuff, but the out was special to me because I was like, oh, this is Homeboy's thing. This is what we're fucking doing. And it was like, oh, I like maybe this will be the thing that like will push through all the BS and actually, because it's a dope little film, and just do really fucking well.
That connected with people, too.
Yeah, and because that was the thing. And I was like, we're connecting with people. Like, people really fucking respond to the material. And it was just so indicative of, like, yeah, there's so many of these people that are just out here to just kind of grab $40 from you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also, a lot of festivals, too, and I looked, when the festivals still pop up and then you see what the lineup is, and it's like that movie that I think just came out now with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, whatever it was. Like, that was one of these smaller independent film festivals that was a big premiere, and I'm like, oh, these dudes, Jesse Eisenberg's been in mainstream movies for like 15 years. Kieran Culkin just came off of Succession, so like, you're not some small like independent film festival sporting art. Like, these are dudes like, if it's them signing on to this thing got a budget made. These are not up and comers. So I do find it funny how this independent film festival thing. And the point was to get it seen. It wasn't like we're gonna. I mean, I joked with Ugo because again, Martin Scorsese was the featured guest at the Montclair Film Festival in 2023. So I said to him, "Hey man, could you imagine if like we get accepted to Montclair and like that dude's a cinephile. Like, he might go check out the blocks to check out independent filmmakers and watch it." I was like, you imagine, like, we're at, like, a mixer or something like that, and, all of a sudden, the little guy with big eyebrows,
he's like,
rides up to us, and he's like, "Hey, good film, a lot of talking." That would be awesome.
That's exactly what he said. Word for word.
Like, that would be awesome.
Word for word.
Like, hey, Scorsese watched their movie. That's great.
No, but I just remember what I told you at the rap party for after Smodcastle, because we were on such a high, and it was such a great night, and packed theater, watching it in a theater for the first time. And I remember I told you just toward the end before they kicked us out, because we stayed till close.
Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, like, this is a win. This is a win. This is all good.
You're not hugging each other all night.
Exactly.
Like, people probably thought we had something going.
Exactly.
Like, we were just so happy.
I was just like, bro, this is a win. This is a win. This is a win. It doesn't matter how many festivals you get into. Yeah. It doesn't matter how many you get rejected from. We did the thing. We got into a festival.
Yeah. They laughed. They
laughed. You were in a theater. Like freaking
sold out screening too.
Exactly.
It was
exactly. And I said, what's important is that you accept this win, embrace this win, see it as a win.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
know that from this, more's to come.
Totally.
That's all that matters. That's the only thing that you should take from this experience.
For sure. And I knew that the festivals that didn't select, the ones that didn't, I knew it wasn't personal. Like, that's the thing. It's like, well, you can't, it's not a comment on the art, because again, it's all subjective.
Yeah.
So I know it's not a comment on the quality of it. And I think that's, people have a reaction when I say, like, well, I got into 2 festivals, and they think, oh, it must not be that good. And that's why I'm saying, literally, like, the numbers, like, that's how
it's lottery. It's lottery.
So
much of this is lottery.
It's shocking. And like, did you know there wasn't the Atlanta Film Festival was a thing? 6,000 entries. Okay, there you go. Smodcastle, second year and over 2,500. Like that, we were in the second one, and they got that many submissions. 4% got accepted. Like that's the reality of putting something out there. But that wasn't the expectation. It was, well, we want it to be seen. People even said that when it came to putting it up on YouTube. They're just like, why don't you submit some more festivals? I'm like, I'm satisfied with how it went, and they're like, oh, we should put it on like, Vimeo, maybe charge for it, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. This, again, to use musician parlance, this is the demo tape. The out is the demo tape. This is what we can do. And look at that. Yeah. And we fucking did it, man. Yeah. And we're all proud of it. It looks great. It sounds great. The performances, I think, are very strong. So that's why I'm just like, no, let's put it out there and let people check it out. But yes, Smodcastle was a big deal because, again, going back to spent my 30th birthday watching Kevin Smith movies in Red Bank, had my first feature-length script in his comic book store, so then get selected for his festival too, and nothing whatsoever to do with the shared universe or his comic book store, no association with any of that, because the women who judged the out, who we saw the reviews of it, loved it. These 2 women whose names we don't know who they are, but they loved the movie. You were actually annoyed because how good the reviews were.
I was just like, this is dope. But like, I was happy for you. They did not like.
They weren't as crazy about yours, but you still played. You played opening night though. You had such a great slot, and you were so nervous about it.
Award-winning film, by the way.
Yeah. Award-winning film.
Like let's not undersell that.
I think that's why I was so upset with the festival game.
Yeah.
It's just because we were so in the trenches of making it that I was like, what the fuck? Like,
this is what people want to hear about.
And the craziest thing is that I know every piece of information that you're talking about. Like, I know all these things about these festivals.
Yeah.
But whatever, it was just something about the out where I was just like, nah, fuck all of you. Like, this is our thing, and it was awesome, and we did it.
You were in the trenches.
Yeah.
You were in the trenches. It's impossible to not remove yourself from.
Oh yeah.
From the process.
You're in own project.
Yeah, everyone's invested.
Yeah. No. Like, I'll be like objective. Like, I'll look at it and be like, okay, I understand. I get it.
Right. This might not play, or maybe this isn't for. Or like you could say yours was longer. Yours was about 18 minutes.
That's
You're like,
why I was
maybe too
scared
long.
for Just Desserts, because I was like, oh god. And then the laughs, like,
yeah.
And you know that feeling.
Yeah.
Because
and I was there opening night, and I knew I was like, this is gonna play really well.
And I was like, this is awesome. But literally, through Just Desserts, I sat there like this.
I know.
Like, just not even looking at it, just listening. Hoping to God that these people laugh at the stupid shit that I find funny.
So that's your nerves were highly evident. So when it comes to you two, like for the premiere at Smodcastle, and again, you'd at least seen the finished cut. You hadn't seen it yet, so you hadn't seen your score actually applied. How did you guys feel going into it? Because it's still, it meant a lot to me being a born and bred Georgian, that it's like we're playing Kevin Smith's film festival. This is a big deal.
I'm a Georgian too.
And exactly.
I liked you asking questions in the Q&A. That was hilarious.
Oh, that was funny.
Beautiful. I love it.
I couldn't help it.
But I was busting my balls asking questions.
I couldn't help it. It's the podcast.
But having it like play. I don't want to say like a hometown show necessarily for us. Was just we all know obviously that Red Bank adjacent community is we've all done some time there. So how did you two feel about like, oh, this is going to play in the festival. We're going to watch this with an audience. Like, oh, it's real now. Like, how did you guys feel when I said, hey, we got it?
Well,
we're in.
My whole thing was like, man, there's a weird Kevin Smith thread that I'm living in right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
bizarre, right?
Oh, yeah, this is this is his. Oh yeah, that's right. So right before that, like, I'd not gone to a film festival. I had not gone to a film premiere before. And then the Clerks thing happened. So it's like, okay, tick that off because now I've been to a film premiere.
Right.
And Kevin Smith was there.
Yeah. Yeah. You were at the Basie show, right? One of the Basie shows?
He gave us tickets to the Basie show. And I was like, cool. Sitting next to like one of the actresses that was in the movie. Mm-hmm. And it was like,
surreal,
great. Right? I could do this again, and then you get this opportunity to do this again. It's like, oh, we're gonna go to Smodcast. I was like, that's Kevin Smith's face up there. Cool. So like
before every blog, hey kids, thanks for coming to Smodcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But the craziest thing too, walking in, and
His
I don't
face is
think.
everywhere.
Well, aside from that, I don't think anybody would have cared to notice this aside from me in the moment. But like. He also had the Clerks. There's like the Clerks. It was something on the walls from every movie. He had like something signed.
Yeah.
And Clerks 3 had finally come out, and he had something there for Clerks 3.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh,
Wow.
this is not real. This is not my life right now.
Piece of thing
Yeah.
that you worked on. And
Yeah.
you're
Well,
holy
like
shit.
also walking into his theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
With something that I worked on that has his name on it, to walk into a premiere, my name was on the silver screen for like an actual Kevin Smith movie, and then like now my name is on one of his silver screens
Yeah. In his theater.
for something else. It's like, that's very surreal.
Now listen, you showed up at the premiere. I'm not going to speak for you, but like it was all over your face. You were nervous. You
Yeah.
walked in and it was just written all over your face, just like I was like, "Hey, man," and we hug, and you're like,
Well, it wasn't.
"Did you see him when he?" Oh no, you were in another block. Were you there before?
I was there at the beginning.
You were there before.
And then
Yeah.
I got back in the theater right in time.
Right, just to
watch
see
the
the outside.
Yeah.
I know you promised to be in somebody else's block,
Yes.
which was understandable. But like I
It
saw
wasn't-
you walked in and it was like
It wasn't
you were nervous.
It wasn't just because of the just the gravity of like seeing myself on screen for the first time in a movie theater. It wasn't just that. I had a lot going on that weekend. All right, like I had a lot going on that weekend. I had the Harlem Wizard stuff. You know what I mean? My girlfriend at the time I was with, like we were like trying to spend a romantic weekend with me doing a billion things.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot going on. So it wasn't just to give you full context of my mood. It wasn't just that. It was a lot, and I didn't eat that day, but not because I was so nervous. It's just
because
I couldn't find the time. That's why.
When you said you didn't eat, I'm like, oh shit, he's really nervous. Like
there was a barbecue
dude's gonna
place.
throw up.
There was a barbecue place up the street. We got food. We just didn't eat it. That's all. So we had like a full spread.
Okay,
man.
see that I didn't know
That's
that. I only had the
Yeah,
context. I only had the context of just like, oh, dude hasn't eaten, and he's really super nervous. But I mean, the nerves are real.
But but
you know, that's
to go to your point. The nerves were real in that regard of it. Plus, I had a lot of friends who were coming to see it. I had my
You
brother.
rolled squad deep to that.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
yeah, oh yeah.
We
I
had-
rolled deep to that one. I rolled deep to What Lives Here.
Yeah.
I always roll deep. Like my people love.
We'll get to there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Like my brother.
Eventually, you'll do a scene for special for that.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Like my brother was there, like some real close.
We
friends
had about
were there.
20 people show up just for us.
Facts.
Which was about 10% of the audience.
Facts. It was dope.
pretty
So
crazy.
You helped sell out a theater.
We did. No, I was.
Yeah.
We were putting up the ticket link like in our Instagram stories.
like, and in
for about
every
a
group,
month.
in every
Like-
group chat too, and in every group chat,
Yeah.
like we were plugging it. Like we were plugging it
Because it
So-
legit was going to sell out. There was that in Brightside. We were like, guys, it's actually going to sell out. Like they sent out an alert. Like if people want to go, like get your tickets.
And it
Like,
did.
We knew. Like
And
both
it
of them
did.
sold out. Both
It
of our
did.
screenings did.
So it wasn't. So my anxiety coming in wasn't necessarily to see it because I'd already seen it and it was
Right.
great and I was happy. My anxiety was, okay, my people are gonna see this now. Like my brother's gonna see this. All my friends, my girl at the time, everyone's gonna see this. Holy shit, what are they gonna think of? U-Go's on screen. You know what I mean? He's doing acting stuff. So yeah.
There's reactions to certain things like that. Some people
Yes.
lose their minds. 'Cause
Yes.
They don't. I don't know how because we work in film, so we should be used to it.
Yeah.
But there is this strange disconnect for other
Yes.
people.
Yes.
That when they see themselves, like see a family member or somebody else on the big screen, all bets are off.
Facts.
Yeah.
It's like
Absolute facts.
what? like, it's,
yeah. No, in
They
fact,
can't
it's-
reconcile that's a character.
Yeah,
Like, just like, I know that dude.
And it's one thing for someone to see me doing my podcast. It's another for me to see me at work with the Wizards. It's another for someone to see me doing music. Seeing yourself in a movie it's a different deal. It's just it's a different platform. It's a different space. You know what I mean? So
because it also depends on how your family viewed going to the movies.
yeah.
Because
you're right. The experience of going to the theater. Yeah, you're right.
Huge in my household.
Yeah.
So like, it was big for Just Desserts, but I can like going to the movies when you were a kid. Like
Yeah. I didn't. How about that? I think I told you that. I didn't. We number one, we couldn't afford. Number two, no one had the time because everybody was working.
Right.
So I didn't. My first movie was like Lord of the Rings, Two Towers. That was the first time I was in a movie theater.
Wow.
That was my first
You're
movie.
in college.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that gravitas of like seeing yourself on a big screen, like because it's so corny.
We-
and I don't care, but like there magic happens there. Like you
Yeah.
see things
Yeah.
that don't happen. You see people who are gone still
Yeah.
talk. Like
Yes.
the movie screen is literally the magic portal.
Yeah.
And
I
you
mean,
see yourself
facts.
there.
Your
No,
short
absolutely,
film
absolutely.
played on the same screen that Kevin Smith saw Jaws on for the first time.
Jaws,
Literally.
Smokey and the Bandit, Willy Wonka, like all these movies.
Yeah, your movie
there.
played on that same
Like,
in that
there's-
same room.
That's crazy.
It is
Yeah.
crazy to
That's
think
a
about.
crazy feeling.
But
Yeah.
it's
So,
powerful.
I'm not surprised that people like have that reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so rooted in joy.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
It was
it
dope. It was dope to have the rap party and have the time to kind of decompress.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still a high. You see what I'm saying?
Without
Like,
a doubt,
so-
yeah.
so-
It was so surreal to have.
Yeah.
And we had speaking of the diversity, and now there's a lot of diversity at both film festivals. I will say that there's a lot of talented people out there. Everybody genuinely has a unique voice, but it's. Our lead-in was a film, and I'm not being disparaging or anything like that. I'm just saying it was kind of a, I guess a sci-fi film about this guy who'd caught the Jersey Devil, and this girl sneaks in to see if she can
Yeah, I remember
free
that.
it.
Yeah, I remember
I don't
that.
remember the name of the film.
Yeah.
I know you weren't there for it because you snuck in just in time when the
I saw it
out
at
started.
The very end of it.
Did you? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, well, we're next. This
Yeah, we were after
rom-com
that.
adjacent film is
was
up
like,
next. Right? You're like, this is an interesting setup.
It's like, who put
Yeah.
this set list?
Yeah, exactly. This
Yeah.
was on shuffle.
Tell you,
That was on
Bernie
shuffle.
O'Donnell.
Yeah, and I'm like, in
you,
my
Ernie.
head,
Love you, Ernie.
watching it, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I thought, are people gonna know they can laugh at ours? Because I'm thinking, do they? Because the blocks aren't themed. That's the thing with film festivals. At least the two we played in, they weren't themed blocks. So there were plenty that would have fit wonderfully with ours if they did do that. Although 21st Century Courtship with our friends Eddie and Letty, like they played, we were the second out of 6 films in our block. They were 4th. So that actually worked well because they had one. It was kind of about dating culture and all of this stuff. So it worked similarly and it was funny.
Yeah.
So, and there are a few others that I saw from some of the filmmakers I met as well over the weekend where I'm like, oh, that would have been a really cool like theme block. It would have been great to like show all these movies together. But yeah, I was worried like, is it going to be reaction? And there was a sound issue too that they fixed right at the beginning. The sound was like, it wasn't playing through all the speakers or something for that first film.
yeah.
And I'm like, I really want them to be able to hear the dialogue and the score. Like selfishly, I'm like, I want this to play as best as possible. And there was literally like a little hiccup right at the beginning of our opening credits. And then the sound fully kicked on. I'm like, oh, good. That's a relief. I'm told I was mouthing along with the dialogue during the entire film, which
Yeah.
I'm like, oops.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't believe I remembered the dialogue as succinctly as
No,
I
I was too.
But it was-
Not for the whole, but for definitely at parts.
It's almost
I was.
I'm like muscle memory.
You
of
kind of
it.
It just
like you just kind
it
of
just kicks in.
fall back into it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
So
weren't air
that's-
drumming though, probably during it. You were just like, but I'm just,
in his head he was.
yes,
In his head.
PTSD. Like I don't want to think
Like-
about that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I will say that.
But to see it with the full mix, that must have been something. Like in a theater and to hear like for the first time, like that must have been like. Did you?
Well, like
I keep saying like, oh wow, it came together.
Yeah.
Like, how did you feel actually seeing it all together, hearing it with your score and everything? Like, what was that experience like? To actually fully see it.
pretty much the same thing. It was like, oh, this is the thing. Like this is it's finished. And
Yeah.
all these people were part of this thing. I knew some of the people that were part of the thing.
Right.
And now we're here together watching this on the screen.
Right.
Cool.
And
cool
it
in
works.
this place.
And it works.
That is like very like.
It's very multi-layered for you.
Oh yeah.
It's a very
yeah.
multi-layered experience. Which like so Yasmin is like, would you do this again? Yeah, hell yeah, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
So nothing for months, unfortunately, on the festival front, and then get the notification, congratulations, you've been selected for Brightside Film Festival. And I'm like, awesome. They happen twice a year. The festival they had in March, you won Best Director. So it's like, we got an award-winning alumni who's coming, who worked on our film. This is going to be awesome. And the fact that we're playing there, and it's also local, so it's there's the element of, we can get people to come out. You know, the North Jersey contingent, we got some New York friends who can come out. We can have a good showing at this, which is great. And I know 110 films were selected for Brightside. I don't know how many submissions they got, but they also had 2 theaters running at the same time. Same with Smodcast. There were 2 blocks running at all times over the 3-day weekend. I don't think anyone was, no was, I'm sorry, Saturday and Sunday they did. They didn't on Friday for yours because that was the big opening set. But still, like that's, again, they have so many selections, but they have a finite amount of time to show them in, you know, features and shorts. But anyway, so we get the email. Oh, that's great. 2 or 3 days later, get the email from Brightside. Here are the nominations for the Brightside Film Festival. And, you know, some festivals, when you submit, they will ask if you want to nominate for any awards. And everyone that did, I put all you guys up for, I only put myself for writer, director. I never put myself down for actor, but I nominate all you guys for producer and actor and music and for everything. And obviously no awards came about. Brightside, you didn't submit. They selected on their own. And I'm looking and I'm like, Best New Jersey Comedy. All right. Got like a Jersey award. Like, awesome. Nice to be nominated for a Jersey award. Best New Jersey Act. That's my name, Best New Jersey Actor. What the hell is that? Best Actor, Medium, Short. What? I'm up for 2 acting awards. And then Best Screenplay, there's Unproduced, which is just a screenplay competition, obviously, and Best Screenplay Produced. And we're nominated for Produced. And then nominated for me for Best New Jersey Director. And I'm like, we're up for 5 awards? Now, all of a sudden, those 18 rejections you kind of forget about, because I'm like, we're up for 5 awards. Like, this is crazy. Now, I felt good because, number one, I'm like, well, we're up for 5 awards. So be weird to nominate us in 5 categories and for us to win nothing. That'd be very, very strange.
That's the Grammys.
Yeah. Well, no, and the Oscars, too.
And the Oscars, yeah.
Bradley Cooper just apparently did the performance of his life and directed himself in Maestro.
Yeah, didn't win a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like The Irishman was up for, I think, 9 Oscars, won nothing.
Yep.
And so that does happen for the big awards.
Yeah.
But I thought, this is a small independent film festival, happens twice a year. It'd be weird if they put us up for awards and we got nothing. So obviously I was hoping for Best New Jersey Comedy because I'm like, that's something that we can all share because the film has won something. I was very happy we were playing again. I mean, I'm sure you guys were enthused about it too. The idea of like, oh good, we get to do it again.
I was so thrilled when you told me. I knew how excited you were.
Yeah.
Just through the roof because I'd seen you a couple times before that in random podcast events and outings and whatnot, and you would always bring up, it's like, yeah, so I'm submitting here, I'm going to hear back. You'd give me a lot. Most of the time you'd be like, yeah, just got rejected from here, Right. So I remember when I think you texted me, and that
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I texted you before I put it in the group chat.
Texted me for a group chat. He's like, yo, we just got in. I was like, dude.
I saw it before you called me.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I was like, sweet. I was like, sweet.
I know. I remember where I was. I was in my room. I was working on something else, and I just thought to check because I think I had another friend who was also nominated for something. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, let me see what's going on.
So where, on the website for Brightside?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because CJ. So I also want to support too.
Well, that's true. We know the dude.
I looked and I saw the list, and I saw 5 times, and
the nominate, yeah.
In my room, in the small Highlands house that you've now seen, just let's go! And my mom's like, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing.
Yeah.
It's all great. And
right.
then I'd explain to her, all this, and she was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we play at Brightside, and that was a diverse block. And again, no disrespect to anybody else, and maybe this sounds too much like, patting myself in the back, tooting our horn, whatever it is. But I'm watching and I'm just like, we're the best looking and sounding film in this block. I know that sounds egotistical. I don't know if you guys want to co-sign that necessarily, but I did think
we were the lightest. That I'll say.
Well, that for sure. Yeah. I mean,
we were the moment of brevity that audience needed.
Yeah. No, I agree.
100%.
We did. Yeah.
There was a lot of the same genre.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We got the laughs. We got more laughs than we did at Smodcastle, actually, which was great too. Just the fact that, okay, we did it. We had another successful.
Maybe that shark thing was pretty funny.
The first one in the block, which was
I think that was
the only other funny one. But then a string of, let's say, maudlin films.
Okay.
You know, not comedic, no jokes. Let's put it that way. You know, no jokes about like, you know, now I'm stuck here with Steve Harvey. You know, nothing like that. Which always gets a laugh. I had mixed feelings about that. I remember like asking you guys like, is it? No, I said no, not that. It's just like, is this out of place? But it's like, no, it's two friends talking. Like, of course, someone would make a crack. Just like, haha, that's racist. Like, nah, no, it's because we're talking about relationships.
That wasn't in the script. That was.
He asked the council. We were like,
that was ad
we will
libs.
revoke one barbecue.
Exactly.
You are suspended from the 2024 cookout schedule. Damn it.
Not a full suspension, just one barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you got the whole summer. You're good.
You're good.
Yeah, exactly.
You're good.
There will be more. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So then, we get to the awards ceremony, and we won too. Didn't expect it. You know, was just happy. Like, no matter what we get, it's a good thing. You know what? If we win, again, it's a cherry on top. You know, we screened. We had another successful screening. We had a great experience. Again, everybody there was super cool. People who were there were into it, which was another thing too. Like I could say, at the two screenings we had, at least people were there because they like wanted to be. It wasn't just a bunch of people there to see their friends' films. Like people seemed to be engaged. You know, I noticed that the audience really felt like they were into this, and that's another fun thing about when you do play at a festival, because you know people are interested in it. You know, you can put it up on YouTube, and people can always click on billions of other videos that they don't like the first 30 seconds. They can just like move on to something else. But at a film festival, people are genuinely up for it, and they're there to hopefully see something different and something done on a small scale, or someone who may create something. I had a bunch of people say to me that the out can be like your Whiplash. Because the film Whiplash
definitely sounded like it.
Yeah, exactly. But people, because that was like a 10-minute short film. That was it was one scene. It was J.K. Simmons berating. It wasn't Miles Teller. It was another actor who played that character. That's right. But like the short did really, really well. And then it was, can you make this into a feature? Sure. And he did it. And the guy's gone on to have a pretty solid career.
Got an Oscar out of it, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he got nominated for sure. I don't remember if he won or not.
JK won.
Oh, JK won. I thought you meant the director.
Yeah. Oh, no. But JK won. I know he won for that.
Yeah, it's and people said that as like this could be, because that's also because people say also why shorts? Well, why not just do a feature-length film? I'm like, because who knows if anyone's going to see a feature like shorts? It's number one, it's an easier return on investment in terms of your energy, in terms of your time, in terms of money, because you can spend a lot of money, a lot of time putting together a 90-minute film, and maybe nobody's going to see it. Look how hard it is to get into a film festival when you got a 12-minute short. Never mind trying to put a 90-minute film into a festival. If it's a horror or sci-fi, like there are themed festivals based around genre.
It's two different worlds.
It totally is.
As someone that, again, being cast in, shout out to Ernie, love you dog, and Troy, being cast in a feature from the out and being at Smodcastle, watching both, seeing the response for both, and on top of that, the work for both is night and day.
Oh yeah.
But what I will say that after doing the out, I was so prepared to do a feature because I know my stuff, I know what I'm doing, but the hours and the input and the mental and spiritual and physical bandwidth, it's just on another stratosphere.
For sure. No, it is. The days are long. And I remember seeing, we did our friend Ash's podcast one morning, and you've been shooting all night. And you came straight to Bravery Studios in Garfield from shooting in the Highlands area.
Yep.
And you looked really tired.
Yes, because I was.
You were. You literally been up shooting all night.
Yeah.
Because it's a horror movie, so you got to shoot after dark.
Yeah.
And you looked exhausted, and I kind of joked to you. I'm like, never going to be as good as it was on my film. Never going to be on a more fun set than one of my sets, right?
One day.
I know. But at the same time, they are longer days. Like by design, features do like 12-hour days. I mean, shorts end up doing 12-hour days as well.
Honestly, with the out and any like festival awards and stuff like that, you getting the 2 from Brightside, and then you getting a role in What Lives Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
it.
Yeah.
That's the good thing that came about.
You got casted because of that. so happy.
I
I
was too.
like,
I'm like,
that was fun.
Ernie had seen the out. He saw your performance.
Yeah.
You got offered a role in What Lives Here.
Yeah.
A significant role, no less.
Yes.
Not Black Dude Dies First in a
by
horror
the way,
movie.
Ernie, I love you. You curmudgeon-y old bastard.
Yeah.
Like, he don't like nothing, and he liked that enough to put you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was my first scene partner, and on my first day
Second.
shooting. I'm talking on What Lives Here. On What Lives Here. I'm talking in like totality.
Details.
He was my first scene partner on What Lives Here, and then I remember he was a guest on my podcast too. Him and Troy, and we talked about that. We talked about the out. We talked about just filming and just the process, like we had been talking about this whole 10 hours we've been here today, and it's just like so. But what I'm saying is, you hit the nail on the head. Just versus the two worlds of features and shorts, but at the end of the day, there's still process.
Oh,
they're
for
just
sure,
they're different processes, but they're still processes.
Oh yeah,
trust me.
And at this stage, like I said, with people making so much stuff, making a short is just the most viable in terms of doing that. Because so many people, like I said, I want to do 3 shorts before I do the feature. Hopefully, the feature that we did the script reading for. And some people have said, like, why don't you just dive into a feature? Like, because we're just not there yet. Like, there's not a climate for it. There's not enough attention. Who am I?
But here's the thing: we're incredibly close.
We're close,
Like,
but we
we're
will
much
get
closer
there.
than we were before.
Oh, without a doubt. But it's taken the reps to get there, and we'll be that much better once we do get there. Like, for instance, look, part of what was going on with this was the scheduling of the release on YouTube for the out was we were supposed to shoot my next short, and as happens, things unfortunately didn't work out. We're supposed to shoot 2 days the week before Thanksgiving. Yeah, exactly. We're supposed to shoot 2 days the week before Thanksgiving and then do a third day on December 8th, and stuff just fell apart. We're probably going to be shooting in February. That's just how it goes sometimes. And it's a bigger deal. It is 3 shoot days. There are more people involved, but it's the next level up. The out was the demo tape. This is the EP. So there is more going into this, and it's gonna be the next level because that's the progression this is supposed to be. We'll get to the full length album.
That studio LP's coming.
Oh, without a doubt.
As someone that's been in one, it's God.
Yeah,
it's
gonna happen.
Yeah, it's something.
And we'll be that much more prepared for when it does happen. Christian and I have been working on something now for over a year. This idea that we know, like, okay, when the time is right, we will do it, and it'll be that much better for having spent the time. And even with this short, was like, okay, we'll be better for having, an extra 2 months to put this thing together, And even you have to look at it that way too. As much as I would like to say I made a short in 2023, 2024, and then 2025, because there's 2 potential ones for 2025. Now it's going to be 3 because the one we're going to do got pushed. So, yeah. But yeah, bright side. So ended up winning, I won for Best Actor Medium Short, and was surprised because that was the first award we won. Gave a speech in that, and the truth that I share the win with you guys because you all contributed to making this what it is. And then to win runner-up for the screenplay, even that is that's still a win. Out of 110 films, it's the second best across all the genres, by the way, literally of all the scripts of all the films that played. To get essentially second place silver medal, I'll take that. It's still a big win as far as I'm concerned. So we made an award-winning film officially. That was crazy to think wow, this thing that we worked on and something which at that point had been done, we shot it almost a year and a half prior at that point. I thought, wow, we won awards for this. So the fact that we played in 2 festivals, both 10 out of 10 experiences, I have no issues with the fact that we played in those 2 festivals because both experiences were
This is the part
incredible.
Behind the music where we go, where are they now?
Yeah. But we may have had a third screening at a little event that happened April 13th and 14th in Fairfield, New Jersey called PaisanCon. So it was this Italian pop culture festival. Yeah. So hang on. This is just funny. This is how it happened.
I work in Fairfield, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's really
hilarious.
So there was an the first Italian, let's say a pop culture festival, heritage festival, whatever, in the Garden State. It's the first one they were going to do. It's like, okay. I heard about it. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. As an Italian, I'm like, let's go eat some food. Like, it's going to be great. And I went to the website because I'm looking at tickets and, who's going to be there and whatnot. And they had a film festival going on. And they had a couple of films listed, but they said, submit your film to screen at PaisanCon. And I was like, okay, this is end of March. So like 3 weeks before the event itself. So I thought, on a total like gamble, I'm just like, I'll submit it. Why not? So I filled in the details, and you submit a link to the trailer. And they base it on that. They didn't screen all the films. I guess not. And didn't hear anything back until April 11th, 2 days before day one of this convention. I get an email. Thank you so much for submitting. We would love to show the out at our festival. Please submit a download link here so we can. Now, here's the thing. It was bold font underlined in the email, but there was no link. It was just bold and underlined. So I get that email in the afternoon. I respond to them and say, hi, so there wasn't a link included in the email to send a download. Can you please send me the link and I'll send you the file? Because I had a copy sitting on Google Drive. I had a 2K render that I'd done just in case. And so I replied to the email, told them that, didn't get a response. Now, after I submitted the out, the PaisanCon Instagram account started following me on Instagram. So I was like, oh, okay, well, they must have looked, unless they're just searching for New Jersey podcast Italian, and they found me. I don't know. But I assume it's because I submitted the film.
Oh, my God.
So I followed them back. I didn't hear anything. Now it's April 12th, the day before. And I didn't hear anything. I send a DM on Instagram. Hi, I don't know if you can direct me. I hope you can direct me to the right person. We were selected. Download link wouldn't work. Can you tell me where to send it, or if somebody can email me? I gave him my email. I may have given him my phone number just to be like, hey, I want to submit this thing. And also to know when it screens, because I was thinking about going anyway, especially because the Saturday the 13th, we were shooting 2 comedy specials that night. But this thing was over by about between 6 and 7. I think our set call was like 6:30. So I saw if it screens Saturday, it's only 20 minutes further from the venue where the con was to the comedy club. So I was like, I can, if I'm at the festival all day, like that's cool. I can head straight to the gig where we're shooting these specials. And I get a response a few hours later from somebody with an email address. Here, send a download link to this person's email. So draft an email, send them the Google Drive link, send a message and say, please let me know when this is going to screen. I was interested in going to the festival anyway, but when it's showing, I'd gladly make an appearance just to be there and see it and, see the festival. And I got no response back whatsoever. So I don't know if it's screened at PaisanCon or not. It might have, it might not have. The funny thing is, one of the featured guests at PaisanCon was Lorraine Bracco, who's Ugo's
still in love with.
Would drop his life to marry Lorraine Bracco. Karen Hill, Dr. Melfi, he would. Yeah, even still now, what's the female equivalent of a silver fox? What would she be? I don't know. Oh, regardless, he's just like, I'm down. She was gonna be there, so I remember saying
she's right up there with Halle Berry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was even now. And I said to him, dude, Dr. Melfi might see our movie. And that blow your fucking hair back?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Now, here's the funny thing. On Saturday, just from pictures that circulated, because PaisanCon was sharing all the posts people made on Instagram, they were sharing them to their story. And I was like, I'm watching their story like, they show this movie? Like, is there anything about the out? Like, did we screen? Because I didn't hear anything. And, it's not that the tickets were peanuts, but I'm like, well, I would like to go, but at the same time, I'll definitely buy a ticket if they're not saying, you're on the list or something. But I was like, well, I didn't hear anything, so I don't know if I should buy a ticket to both days, one day or not. But I hadn't heard anything, so I was like, whatever. I got the gig tonight, maybe Sunday. But on Saturday, who shows up at PaisanCon just to be there, just to hang out because they saw there was a New Jersey Italian pop culture festival? Paul Giamatti. And I'm like, because there's a picture of him. Lorraine Bracco posted a picture of her, a selfie she took with Paul Giamatti. And now in my head, I'm like, okay, did the outplay? Because is there a chance? Like, there's a chance Paul Giamatti wandered in.
We should have just gone.
Oh, I wish I'd gone, especially knowing he was there just walking around. He just went to attend. That's the craziest thing. He wasn't a featured guest. He wasn't a peer. I mean, he took selfies with everybody and whatnot. Like, he's just a dude.
There's a possible reality where these motherfuckers are.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
I'm imagining.
I can't really Maybe it's just because I'm exhausted. I can't comprehend that right now.
Dude, it is
I'm
so...
I'm going to need like a day to process
It
that.
was so fun because I'm
That's
just
so
thinking,
cool.
I could imagine, Paul Giamatti's in a meeting for like his next film. And he's like, "So it's a great movie. Yeah. It's a lot of talking. These two guys.
Not
about
the
a girl." And
impersonation.
I didn't know I had a Paul Giamatti in me, but I'm saying, that kind of like, yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it's a good movie. And that makes me happy. I'm like,
I like the drums.
yeah, drums are great.
like the drums.
Oh, this guy's great. I mean, he lives in Brooklyn, so he probably hangs out at some clubs. We might see him, dude.
Comedy.
All the more reason, of course he drove from Brooklyn to Fairfield because he's just down to see what's doing at the Italian festival going on in New Jersey.
This guy will go to In-N-Out Burger after the Golden Globes.
Exactly. I'm
He
like,
will go
he's
to
so
freaking Fairfield,
cool and
New
down to
Jersey.
doesn't let being Paul Giamatti get in the way of his life. Like, not at all. I thought that was the funniest thing. So in my head, I'm like, I don't know if we screened at PaisanCon. I don't know if Paul Giamatti and Lorraine Bracco have seen our film, but maybe.
It's possible.
We won't know until we actually meet them.
Possible.
If it made an impression.
So now we know
which would be
next
funny as
week
hell.
we submit to the next PaisanCon.
It's already set up. It's in East Rutherford. It's even closer. Closer to me.
We're going.
It's
We're going.
in 2025.
We're going.
We're
The
going.
dates aren't announced, but it's happening.
We're going.
Especially
It's
'cause
happening, man.
Homeboy's wife might be there.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well, if she's announced again, I mean, I
In
don't
that
see how
case,
you
it's
can
I
not
Met Your
go.
Mother.
I think you might have been on tour with the Wizards. Actually,
I was on
think
tour.
that's why. Yeah,
I
that's
was
why you
on
didn't
tour.
make it.
So
Because you were upset.
Yeah, I was like, I told you to go. I was like, you should.
No, you did, and
yeah.
I was gonna, but I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know what's happening.
Right.
I didn't.
I was definitely on tour. Yeah, I was 100% on tour. Yeah.
I know because you would have gone otherwise.
Yeah.
I remember when it was announced, I sent it to you like, "Hey man, we should totally check this
I
out."
was
Because
like,
you're a
yeah.
huge Sopranos fan. Again, grew up in Jersey. Love a lot of Italian culture.
Have watched the show a billion times.
Exactly. So I'm like, we should go just to go.
Let
But
me
then
ask you something. Would you,
we could have screened.
if somehow, I don't understand what reality this would have happened. But if
Go ahead.
somehow you got a video from this woman being like, "Ugo, come, we're gonna see this movie," would you have gone on a flight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
he would.
Yes. She's on a short list. I told you with Halle Berry.
Yes,
So,
that's a very short list.
very short list.
Literally,
So,
he is. This man has 2 bays.
literally.
That's it.
You are the most aware person that I'm glad it was you that made this film and not somebody else who had another inclination of what that conversation could have been about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, I think this is coming from the perspective of someone who has an understanding of not only who they are, but what they want in a relationship and how they're willing to make it work. As a bunch of, as not only that, with a bunch of other green flags.
Yes.
That I think also play into what makes it so great. That's why it's a hit with dudes, is because it's like, yeah, that's probably how I should approach this conversation, but in a positive light.
And not only that, but just like when he's like, I need to do my side of the
My side.
My
of the street
side
needs
of the cleaning, yeah.
It's just
like-
like it's
It's a very aware thing to know about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
and it's very hard for most people to admit that, let alone for you to put that in a script where you're not only the director and writer, but the actor.
Right. Well, that's
and
something.
from a true experience.
Well, that's something I
Very,
actually
very
said to her
vulnerable.
the first night we went out for drinks when we were at the second bar and we were sitting across from each other, and we were talking about relationship. Now, when her and I were talking about relationships, we were talking about ourselves, mistakes we'd made, poor choices we made in people, and all of that stuff. So we weren't, shit talking exes or things like that. I don't do that anyway, but like it wasn't that kind of conversation. We were bonding over negativity. We were bonding over like being more aware of ourselves and kind of where
trauma
we're at
bonding.
now
Yeah,
compared.
yeah.
Well, no,
The
it
best-
wasn't like
the
we
best-
were
the
just-
best kind.
more or less like what Christian said before, like having the experience of life and being like, okay, like this is what I know I want. in life.
Exactly.
This is like, I was with this person, but it just didn't work out because of X, Y, and Z. It's not like this person's crazy, this and that. It's just like, unfortunately, like we just didn't work out. We just didn't see that way.
Yeah.
Our values weren't the same.
That was one of the things that her and I were getting into in this conversation on the first night we went out, was the idea of like, when you're with somebody and it makes sense and everybody else around you is happy and on paper it makes sense, but it doesn't feel right. Her and I both had those experiences, and we're kind of talking about that. We're like, like it would make sense. Like, yeah, you should probably get married, and you should probably be together because everybody would be happy. And at the same time, maybe it makes sense, but it
People who
feels
say that
off.
when you get married, that's just because they want to throw a fucking party.
That's all they want is a
Like,
party,
that's all
or
you
they're
want.
eager
Yeah.
for grandkids.
Yeah,
So,
right,
and I'm
right.
I'm glad I don't have that. Bless my parents. They're like, don't worry about making us grandparents. I'm like, thanks. It's not going to happen. Anyway, I got a vasectomy when I was 13. But anyway, that's no, not really. I had you for a second though. Jesus,
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Boy, what?
Great
That did not
Jehoshaphat.
land. That did not land. That's a Red Fox joke from one of his specials 100 years ago. But
I am
it's
young.
fantastic.
I am sorry.
No, it's all right. I'm total. That was a total joke, but still, like,
Holy shit,
I'm
did that
lucky.
not
my,
land
yeah, that
like
did
it?
not land the way I intended. Wow.
Shit just got dark, bro.
I understand.
Shit just got
It's been a
yeah.
long time. It's been a long time.
No, but my parents genuinely did say, like, don't worry about making us grandparents. I'm like, okay, cool, because I've had friends who have had parents who've said that, and that was even one of the things, again, her and I talked about on this first night, where it's just like, wow, we really are similar kind of in that way, where it's like,
And
kids
it's coming
probably
up
aren't on the table
organically,
for
and
us.
it's not coming out where it's like,
well, that's it. It's not like we were
why
into
don't you have kids?
Yeah.
Why aren't you?
Which
Yeah.
is a question you get particularly at my age, where it's just like people want to know, like, well, what's your problem? It's like, as we're talking about our relationships and, like, looking back on ourselves, like reflecting on ourselves, I use the expression with her, like, I know my side of the street needs cleaning, and her reaction, her face, again, I won't forget it, which is why I remembered that line and decided to keep it in my back pocket. She actually went, like, it really, like, she was taken by surprise. And I just said that in the moment. I don't know that I ever used that expression in my life, and I don't know that I picked it up from somewhere. I really don't know where it came from. But in the moment, it got such a reaction out of her, I thought,
it's
well,
a
that's
very,
going down. And that's something that hit, that's something actually when we were shooting it, you and Tom pointed out as far as
it
being a
was
line,
so
like,
good.
wow.
because it
That
hits.
hits. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like it's the self-awareness factor, it's the realness factor of it, and not for nothing, it's one of those lines that you could clearly hear coming from a show like BoJack Horseman or something like that.
Yeah.
Very
Where-
it's cynical, but
But
truthful.
truthful.
But truthful, yeah.
Like it worked on all fronts,
Mm.
and it's a hell of a line.
What was everyone's favorite part or part that stuck out to him? That from watching it, just like
Like script, like story-wise?
Yeah, script wise, or story wise, or scene wise.
Anything. What'd you like
I
about
think
it?
I think what I said before really is that it's this ultimate. It's, as I said, it's not really this focus on Edgar and this relationship. It's really this relationship between Edgar and Ulysses, to have open and honest conversation in this brand new scary world of like. I mentioned this earlier in pre-pod, but it's just like, I told my dad I'm in therapy, and he's like, why are you in therapy? Like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, you. And it's just like, just these vulnerable conversations that
you can't have with everybody.
you can't.
And
Yeah.
like, I know, hey man, I know I can talk to you about this. And I know you're my boy, and I know you're looking out for me, which was the whole dynamic of going into the conversation, just like,
and just to have that confidence to have more of those conversations with people, and just to be more open and more loving with
I think
an individual that's just because
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just growing up in a small town around here, so you always heard very LGBTQ slurs against it. It's just like, no, that's gay. You're a faggot. You can't do that. You can't show love for one another. And
Right.
to have this script where it's two individuals having a vulnerable conversation but still being playful.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part.
but not negatively.
the friendship. There's still there's a very tight friendship
Exactly.
there.
It's,
Underneath
the
it.
interconnectivity of it
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's cool because it's like if in this dynamic of the friendship the clown isn't present, whereas
Right.
it's like if you could imagine like the clown in your friend group being there, it would
Yeah.
not probably go as well.
No.
There would probably be some more unhealthy interjections.
Right.
Which I think also could make an interesting dynamic that could be added to it, where another character is realizing their own shortcomings in that. But like that's what's so cool about this, and that's what I hope the takeaway is with most people, is like they can walk away from this and look at this and not just be like, that was a great short film, but also like look at it and think about how they approach these kind of conversations with their friends.
Exactly.
Because I'm already thinking about this, and I'm like, and it sucks because I'm thinking about it in this context of like, I know who I couldn't have this talk with,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
same.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
No, 100%.
But you know who you
100%.
could.
and I know who I
You
could.
could.
Exactly.
And also,
Even that.
sorry to shift perspectives
No,
again, but
go
like
ahead.
I've gone through, a relationship as well throughout this. So, like I was with someone for almost 2 years, and throughout the filming and stuff like that, we ended up breaking up and things like that. And it gave me another perspective of something else I took into therapy. And what you said before is how you're able to have these conversations and be like, yeah, we're just not meant for one another. Like I hold love for you and I have this connection for you, but it's just
not working.
It's just not working. It's just not who we are for one another. And to have that film in my back pocket, and this was 2 or 3 months after we had filmed it, I had seen, a very, very rough cut of it. But just to, as I said, have that in my back pocket was nice to just view as like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna clean my side of the street now. You know, it was
now's the time. Now I only have to care for
that's
myself.
cool.
That's
very
dope.
cool.
When you ask a player what their favorite part is, do you like practice or do you like the game? They're just like, well, the game's fun. I'm just like, what do you mean the game's fun? You're in front of fucking 80,000 people on live television, in front of millions of people across the world. Like, no. You don't understand. We practice, 5-6 days out of the week, hitting each other, watching film, going through meetings, talking, doing the same thing sometimes twice a day. And then on Sundays, we don't have to do any of that. We just
Play.
you
play.
We just dress up and play out there. So you at home are just wondering, oh my God, that's an amazing play call or whatever. No, we worked on that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if it's in the play.
You're just seeing it now.
You're just seeing it now.
Yeah.
You're just seeing the finished product. So to answer your question, or my question, which I asked you, is just like, the process of me and him crafting these characters and fine tuning everything over dinner, in the Zoom calls, in texts, in calls. I mean, I remember everything. I remember right before I went to Italy with my girl for my birthday, we went out to dinner. I think that's the second time we went out. It was
during the week, and you were leaving like that weekend.
Yes.
It was right before. She's like, let's get another in person, because at that point we were still eyeing the end of February.
Yes.
When you got back from Italy, so like this may be our last rehearsal in person.
Yes. So he brought me a book. Well, you remember what the title of the book was? I forgot.
The War of Art.
I think yes. He brings me a book, and then
Book I recommend everybody.
And it was at Chevy's.
You two are going to get it when it is. I give everybody copies of the book because it's a great book.
And it was at Chevy's.
Was
and
it?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No, that was Chevy's. I remember it.
Okay, all right.
It was in Clifton. I remember.
Okay.
So, and I just remember when we were going through it, we were almost off script at that point because we had rehearsed it so much, and that's when I was like, after we did it, because we did about 2 or 3 takes. After like the second take, I was like, we got something here. You know, there's a lot more work to do and to get it to where we want to get it.
Right.
So by the time it's game day, you know what I mean, and we're filming, like it's exactly how we want it, but watching it come together, that my favorite part is the work that we put in behind the scenes. The process is my favorite part of the entire piece, hands down.
Honestly, that's for me. It is as well. Like as a producer, like that was one of the things where I told Chris in the beginning. I was like, I want to produce this because I don't get the opportunity to do that very often. Because when you're a producer on film, you essentially have a magic wand, and sometimes that magic wand is broken. But like sometimes you can make magic happen, and I love being able to figure out those problems where it's like. This is the strongest of hypotheticals. If Aballo came to me and was like, we need a tank, and I'd just be like, well, fuck, I got to figure out where the fuck to find a tank and how to bring it into a brewery at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Red Tank.
or legally bring it into Red Tank.
Yeah.
But like.
And create a diversion so the cops are on the other side of town while we get this tank.
It is that early problem solving because you're creating not only the puzzle, but you're laying like the hardest parts of like 1,000-piece puzzle. But then everybody else gets to come in and help fill in those pieces.
Yeah.
And then make something even better than what you thought was going to be. And it was so much fun. Like, the sound, pain in my ass, cool. But at the end of the day, it's the funniest story.
Yeah.
Like, we can sit back and laugh at that
About
now.
the production day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can laugh at me wanting to fucking punch a wall.
You were going to kill everybody except us.
Still to this day was one of the most fun I've had on a set
Facts,
in a
dude.
long time, but also like, especially post-COVID, this was the first film I've worked on post-COVID. Because like I used to do a short film every year after I graduated from college because I'm like, I need to do at least one film production. I need to be involved in at least one production. And from 2019 to 2023, I did not touch anything
Narrative.
Yep. Mostly like music videos or documentary or mostly commercial stuff, but this really revitalized like my true love. And like
Fuck yeah,
Film.
dude.
Nice.
I know I told you about it too. But
You did. No, I know. I like hearing that because it's like this is the thing. This is the fun part about taking an idea that's just in your head and making it into something real and getting to collaborate with. And I said it. I've said it many times in the social media posts and everything. But it's like this is our film as much as my name's plastered on it multiple times. It's just like this is our project. You all have a piece of this. This only happens because of all these moving parts. You know, I didn't make
Do you know
this
how
in a
proud I
vacuum.
get whenever you send me like, oh, we're in this festival, we're in this festival.
Yeah,
like
dude, no,
I get
it's
so
it's so
happy.
dope.
It's
And I was
it's
telling you
great.
I
before
almost cried when
Did you
sent-
really?
d-
Yeah, you said that
'cause
text, and I was like,
here's the
maybe
thing.
he's taking, maybe he's
No. Well, because he also knows Kevin Smith is also literally like my all-time favorite director because
right.
I grew up in
grew
Kingsburg,
up in
New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah,
You know
you
what I mean?
grew up
Like the town
8
right next
minutes
to it.
from-
My dad would.
We're
Quick
we're
stop.
surrounded by the actual like product of success.
and it's the underdog.
We're in the
story.
room. That's an effect of the product of
Yeah.
success. We know each other because of that man's success.
Exactly.
If we're gonna pull the thread.
Like that's why it's so like he's so inspiring to us is because it's like he did the thing, he put the time into it, and look at what he was able to create.
And how that
now we're
reverberated out to the people we know
In
and
a
love.
festival.
Exactly. And now we're in his festival.
Yeah.
As we wind down, believe it or not, although you all are seeing a heavily edited version of this, but the original plan was today, December 12th, 2024, and we're recording this. The Out was going to be published on YouTube, and it was going to be public. And I was kind of in a weird space last night about it because I didn't feel, or kind of all day yesterday, like I thought, okay, we'll start a Chris Aballo YouTube channel for this. That's where everything The Out is going to go up. You know, it's hope you're subscribed. Again, click the link down below to go to the channel for the film and the outtakes and the commentary and some video clips from this, of course.
You heard the man.
But I kind of didn't feel anything about it because I think I felt fulfilled about, well, I've gotten more out of this than I expected. You know, the idea of having made this film, having 2 amazing screenings, you know, everybody's proud of it, getting incredible response. And even that, just to, because we didn't really touch on it, but the amount of guys, back to the connection thing, who came up to me after both screenings and told me how much they related to the dialogue in The Out was like, even that was mind blowing. I'm like, wow, this actually did resonate with people in a way that, again, I didn't expect it. Being such a personal story from my own experience, it was another one of the many gratifying things about it. So I kind of didn't have any feelings about it because I thought, well, this is kind of the end of the cycle. Now, within the last week and a half, I've actually been doing a bit of a binge on a few of the books written by Derek Sivers. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He was the founder of CD Baby.
Oh,
Right. Well, I know you know CD Baby.
Yeah,
exactly.
Back in the day.
So he was the dude who started CD Baby and then sold it in 2008, 2009. But he ran it for 10 years, sold it off for $22 million, and at the same time knew he was done. And it was fascinating hearing from a guy who, similarly, like me, started as a musician and then evolved into other things, but still plays music. But his perspective on creativity and business and all of that. His books have been fascinating. Highly recommend them. And of course, I'll send you guys links so you can check them out. But in this one book, he did the third one that I finished last night, called Your Music and Your People. He, near the end of the book, and he was talking about, you know, a lot of people asked, how much money do artists make on CD Baby? And he said there were about 50 artists who every year would make over $100,000. Most people would make from a few hundred to a few $1,000s. And he said the difference I noticed was the people who consistently made 6 figures a year from selling their CDs were of the mentality. There were 2 mentalities, the way he broke it down. He said they were of the mentality that releasing the album was the starting line for them. That was the beginning of the cycle. They're putting it out, they're promoting it. It's the start of everything. They look at it as the album release is a starting line. They're out promoting it. They're pushing for it. They're out playing gigs. They're talking about it. It's being advertised, and that's why they had more success. Whereas the other mentality where people looked at releasing the album as the finish line. And we all know what that feels like. You've worked on something, it's done, and it's released, and you think, on to the next. And I thought, wow, I'm regarding this as the finish line. I'm not regarding it as a starting line. It's only the end of the festival cycle. I'm just not submitting it to any more festivals. The film's not going out, so publicly anybody can watch it. It'll be on YouTube in perpetuity until the Criterion Collection calls and says, we would like to release it, the 4K collection of Chris Aballo short films. But in the meantime, it's on YouTube, so anybody in the world can watch it. And last night this is almost midnight when I finished the book, and I thought, yes, that happened tomorrow. I don't wait until January. On top of, honestly, in the back of my mind, I was like, you're competing with, you know, the Christmas everything, you know, holiday everything going on for the rest of the month. Yeah. I'm like putting it out. Like even I'm putting out a holiday compilation next week. And I thought, you know, the week after the Out would have gone out. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, maybe I wait until January when things are quieter. There's going to be a little window between when the New Year's hangover wears off and all the noise surrounding the inauguration kicks in. So I was like, you know what? Let's put it out then, and at least then I could properly promote it and talk about it, and put it out there because now anybody can see it. And I realized, okay, it's closed this part of the cycle, but I thought, yeah, this is where a different level of work begins. It's not just, all right, I put it out, it's there, that's that. Next up. And also in the back of my mind, I thought, well, for at least in December, that's kind of like closing, that's ending the chapter. Because had we shot my next short film on the dates we were supposed to, that would have been announced in January. So that would have been the start of a new cycle as far as I was concerned. But the way things played out, literally last night I had the thought of like, okay, yeah, I'm treating this like the finish line and it should be the starting line. So that's why it didn't go out today. And that's why it went out in early January. And you're seeing this shortly after.
And I'm not going to lie, like, I feel legitimately like that's a great fucking outlook.
It hadn't occurred to me. And I didn't think about it that way either because I was.
What's that book called, bro?
No, I told you, Your People and Your Music. I mean, he uses music as the reference point, like as the template, but it could be applied to any creative endeavor. And he says that up front. That this music is just I'm using it because I worked as a musician. He did thousands of gigs. As a hired gun, as a solo artist, all that. Ran this business that served artists first and foremost. And obviously became very, very, very successful at it. And that's why really 3 books in a row I listened to. I went through his 3 audiobooks actually that I went through. And that just really hit. And I thought, okay, timing. I'm hearing this when I'm supposed to. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to wait because let me give myself a break, get through the holidays and everything, and start the new cycle. That's how it has to happen. So there we go. That's why it's supposed to go out today. And I didn't explain to you guys why. I know I said it in the group chat, like, oh, it's going to come out 12/12/24. Get it? 12 and 12 and 24. It's going to be a memorable date. But that's kind of arbitrary. And at the same time, it was also, well, that's going to put a button on 2024 onto the next in 2025. Clear the decks. And the out is finished.
It's going to start 2025 in a good way.
Exactly. Yeah. The starting line, the beginning of the year, and it's going to be a new starting line. Now it's going to be, now we got to push it. Now there'll be loads of clips from this. Yeah. There'll be loads on the cutting room floor, but there'll also be loads of clips from this and the sit down the 4 of us did.
I like
previously.
That mentality a lot.
It's great, right?
Like,
that's
I'm
fire.
thinking
That's
about
fire.
how I can apply it to a couple different things.
Really, and the timing of it it's one of those things where you're like, okay, stuff happens the way it's supposed to. And I've say that up to including, in conclusion, when it comes to you guys, because as I've said on social media, I said it, when I won the first award at Brightside. This is our film. This is a shared project. This is something we have done together. Yes, I own the mofo, but it is our film, very much so, because having you guys be part of it, you all elevated it. Because on the page is one thing. I could sit back and say, hey, I wrote a great script. Isn't that great? But without all the different ingredients and flavors you guys bring to it, it's not what it is. Whether it comes to shorten the script, when it comes to, can we talk about wording this? This sounds a little clunky. Like I'd say it like this. When it comes to, we finally got a lock on what he's going for as far as, okay, I know what would fit here. And I know when to lay back.
Make a movie 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
true.
That's
it's very, very true. And it only is what it is because of the collective effort of you guys as well as Nick, with the assistance, of course, from our executive producer, George Larson, Chris Matt, who engineered the song Salute that plays at the end credits, and David, who did the sound mix. And
thank you, David.
It's incredible. Yeah. David Aballo, everybody. Excellent sound mixer. So there you have it. That's the filmmaking journey. That's the entirety of the story of the out thus far. And now you can see it and judge for yourself and share it with everybody you know and love. Share it with people you hate. Yeah, that's fine. Listen, views are views. Engagement, it all counts. We're all fighting for screen time.
Send me that story. If someone here is listening to this and hears this bit, send it to somebody you hate. Send us an email then. Tell us how that went.
Yeah.
Tell us how you feel.
No,
I'll tell you what I told you a few times. I'm like, it was an honor that you trusted me with your ideas, with your vision, with your dreams, with whatever you were trying to do off of a sushi dinner. You were just like, I think he'd be good in my movie. And I
Yeah,
would've
based on a few nights of cracking jokes while eating sushi.
been- exactly.
An exorbitant amount of sushi.
Yeah. So, and I think that's kind of an outlook that all of us have in our own versions. This was your idea, this was your baby, and you were just like, yo, I'm trusting you guys to help raise it.
Yeah,
to help teach
you did.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Take
this-
away. So yeah.
This baby has one mother and 4 midwives.
I'll take it.
All right.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. Sorry, is that too white? Is that just make it really Caucasian in here by making a midwife?
Nah, you
reference?
just threw some raisins in the potato salad.
Oh, and with that,
And 2 barbecues revoked.
I didn't say it.
No,
I didn't put
you
raisins in
flipped
anything.
it.
I brought it on myself, is what happened. Do you guys? All right, thank you
Hey,
for that.
listen,
Do you guys have some
you
thoughts?
Fucking, I can't believe we've gotten to this point with it. I'm so proud of the work that you guys did and the work that you did. And look at, hey man, you completely lived the journey of one of like the quotes of one of our favorite movies. Yeah, we had a dream too. Sing and dance and make people happy, but that gets better the more people you share it with. And you shared it with a dope group of people who equally saw the vision. And I'm just honored to be a part of that. So I see you on the next one.
That's right.
That's all I'll say.
Facts.
All right,
Good night,
Darren, you got to top that.
Yeah, I'm ready for the next one as well. Like I've actually pushed myself outside of my comfort zone to do this one and think outside of the box, which is like, well, like now can I do this again?
Right.
Which would not be part of the conversation if I didn't actually agree to do
Do it the
this.
first time.
Right.
Yeah,
You'd go in
exactly.
cold, which
Yeah.
you did. You followed the musician mentality. Can you do this? Sure, I can do it. You say
Yeah.
yes to the gig, and then you figure it out.
Pretty much it was like,
Dude,
yeah,
if
no,
you
I
want to
can do
work,
it.
yeah,
I'll figure it out when I'm there, and figured it out, and now we're doing this thing. Now we're
Yeah.
here. We're doing this, and this is cool. And I'm excited to see where it goes after that. Even
Yeah,
'Cause,
now it's
like-
out there for everybody to see.
yeah, everybody will get to see it. It's not just my dad.
You don't need to buy a ticket anymore. You had to buy tickets for a little while. Maybe you sit beside Paul Giamatti in a quiet theater in a convention center.
Hopefully,
who knows?
yeah.
I mean,
Why
that'd be
not?
pretty sweet.
Why not?
You imagine? Like, that looks like Dr. Milfield.
Why not?
Is that Karen Hill? Say, Henry, wake up, Henry. Anyway, well, that's it, folks. That's the filmmaking special. We've done it. The last in the series of specials while Cape the Weekly Show is on hiatus. Is a weekly show coming back in 2025? Well, stay tuned to see. And listen, you got to know everybody here. If you like them, their social media links are in the description as well. Give them follows. Check out what's going on. That's right, the U-Goboy podcast available on all the platforms. And Serious Matters Music, check it out wherever you stream their music. And as well, Arcade Productions, wherever you stream music. Check out Christian's music as well. Thank you all for watching, for listening. We hope you got something out of this. We hope this has encouraged you to do whatever it is you're planning to do creatively and to put it out there and to see what happens, because you never know. Honestly, that's the truth. You don't know until you put it out there. You could end up in somebody's theater whose movies you've been watching since you're a teenager, and or since you were in diapers in some people's cases. But hey, man, just whatever creatively you're thinking about, do it. And you have our 2 cents on when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to film festivals, when it comes to all that stuff. So we hope it was worthwhile. We hope you answered a lot of questions. If you have more questions about it, hey, leave it in the comments, and somebody's going to answer. Probably Christian, while he's engineering boring podcasts. He's going to check out the comments below this episode and be
I
like,
will literally do that.
I'll comment to it.
it'll keep him
Don't worry.
awake. Yeah, Ugo will too. Ugo's big on the comments section,
Yeah.
folks.
Please do that.
I got 10 Gmail accounts.
So if you got,
I got
that's where all the thumbs up came from.
Got it.
But
strategy, baby.
yeah, if you have more questions about it, you want to know some more things, then yeah, comment below and let us know what you want to know about it. But we hope this was helpful to you, and we hope you enjoyed the film. We really do. We're all proud of it. We're happy to have our names on it, and share it, spread it around. It means only more stuff is going to be made. So that does it for the filmmaking special. So until next time, for Christian, Ugo, and Daryian, this is Chris Aballo, and this was yet another experiment.